Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Again, welcome to the best anime-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you right here, still on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, still your host, John Campea, and it is still an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, all sorts of good stuff. Not going to do the same joke again. He's wearing a Bengals hat, everybody. Ray Ora's here.
Yes.
Hope springs eternal for Ray.
Yes.
Going to watch the Bengals this weekend. Sitting over beside him, of course, is one Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, I'm doing really good, and I won't make a joke about it, but I do want to see the Rams slaughter the 49ers tomorrow. Give me nothing but joy.
I think there's a very, very good shot of that happening. Very good shot of that. And sitting over there, again, and still, is Chris Carr. Chris, how you doing?
Still here, still don't understand sports ball, but I love nachos, so let's do it.
All right. Anyway, guys, it is good to have you guys here today, and here's how today's show is going to go. We break the show up, as we always do, into two parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to take some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your comments and questions, which leads us into an announcement. It's a little bit of a change of format for the show that is going to be starting next week. Now, you guys know that we've been having a little bit of a struggle because we've wanted people, a lot of people who watch live have been saying we want to be able to send in, questions live and hear them answered when we send in the question, right?
Sensible.
So we started taking super chats live and also taking in the tip questions. But the tip questions have been getting backed up because we haven't been giving them the attention they deserve. We haven't been getting around to them long enough. I hopped on the community tab this weekend to ask you guys, or this week, what do you think we should do? Here's a couple of options. Do you have any other? And we've come up with a change. So here's what's going to happen. Starting Monday, the John Campea Show will only be taking super chats in the live chat, in the live part of the show, the live comments and questions part of the show. And what we are also going to do is we are introducing a new 2 or 3 times a week show called John Campea's Mailbag. So it's kind of replacing companion videos. And so what's going to happen is this. If you can watch the show live, then you can send in super chats with your comments and questions. If you can't watch the show live, you can send in using the tip link below, and we'll answer those questions on mailbag episodes that we do 2 or 3 times during the week, later in the afternoon or in the early evenings and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now, since, we're going to be doing that, we want to get caught up on all the tip questions that got sent in. So we're not going to have super chats today. Today, we're only going to be answering the tip questions that you guys have sent in to the channel so we can get caught up on those, and then we'll go to the new format starting on Monday. I probably made that sound very confusing, but hopefully you guys caught the gist of what it was I was trying to say. Anyway, guys, it is great to have you here with us. And now let's get things started, shall we? And we're going to get things started with a couple of off the tops. And our first off the top is this. In a piece of news that is sure to make Robert Meyer Burnett very happy. That doesn't have something to do with Moon Knight. We know for a while there has been some drama surrounding the Fast and the Furious franchise. Drama that, for whatever reason, a couple of the stars have decided to fight it out publicly, which, hey, listen, you know me. I love Vin Diesel and I love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Both of these guys should know better not to be airing their stuff out publicly. All this stuff should have been happening behind closed doors, but there's been a lot of drama. We knew there was a lot of friction between the two. In Fast and Furious 8, the two of them couldn't even shoot a single scene together. They had to arrange it so Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson were never on set at the same time. That's pretty bad. Then they started playing nice with each other a little bit. Like The Rock got remarried and Vin Diesel sent him a public well wishes for his marriage. Dwayne said, "Thank you, man. I really appreciate that," publicly. He's like, ooh, all of us kids are thinking, can mom and dad get back together? All of us are thinking, can mom and dad get back together? So happy. And then Vin Diesel, inexplicably, my man Vin, he goes on his social media and basically calls out Dwayne Johnson, saying, man, you got to come back. You've got to do it. Paul Walker would want you to come back. My children still refer to you as, I can't remember, Uncle Rock or Dwayne, or I can't remember. And, my children still talk to you. It's time for you to come back and fulfill destiny. Which he probably shouldn't have sent that out publicly. So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson responded publicly, F you. I mean, I'm paraphrasing The Rock a little bit. And that was it. And causing Dwayne Johnson to come out and make a statement saying, I am not coming back. So for the millions and millions of Fast and the Furious fans around the world, you just got to know I'm not coming back. So that was it. So what's Vin Diesel to do? We already brought in another WWE big muscle head in John Cena, who's killing it on Peacemaker. But let's be honest here. He didn't exactly kill it in Fast 9. But he's awesome in Peacemaker. So what are you going to do? I know. If I can't get Peacemaker and I can't have Black Adam, I'm getting Aquaman. Woohoo! That's when Vin Diesel said, it has now come out this morning that Jason Momoa is in talks to join Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious 10. This is coming us from The Hollywood Reporter, not Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart. And The Hollywood Reporter says the following: the 10th installment of Universal's Fast and the Furious action movie series is getting an infusion of muscle. Jason Momoa is in final negotiations to join Vin Diesel and the cast in what is being called Fast and Furious 10 as a working title. Well, that's very creative working title. Very creative working title. And while plot details are being muffled, the Aquaman actor could be poised to act as one of the film's villains. Universal had no comment. All right. If you can't have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I always say, you know what? I wanted Ben Affleck. I wanted Ben Affleck to be Batman. I wanted Ben Affleck to direct Batman. But you know what? If it can't be Ben Affleck, you've done pretty good for yourself by getting Matt Reeves. I want Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in Fast and the Furious. But you know what? If you can't have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in Fast and the Furious, Jason Momoa is a pretty good guy to go to. I mean, this guy, and listen, and as a villain, the thing I really took notice of Jason Momoa was when he did this not so great little Sylvester Stallone film called Bullet to the Head.
Yep.
And Momoa was the antagonist and the bad guy. And I was like, this dude's really good as a bad guy. So look, we don't know if he's going to be a bad guy in Fast and Furious or not, but I'm all for this. I mean, it still sounds like it's not official yet, but if it does end up being Jason Momoa, that's not a bad replacement for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson if you got to replace him. Rob, you are a big Fast and Furious fan, even if you didn't love 9. What do you think about this and Jason Momoa coming in?
I love it. I love Jason Momoa. I love him bringing that Jason Momoa energy. I think that he's perfect for this franchise. And for me, they've already been to space. Maybe they can redo Moonfall. That the point is that they're gonna use their cars to perhaps tow the moon deeper and further into space, saving the Earth.
So you're all for it. All right.
I'm for it.
Let me ask you, Chris. I mean, this just came up this morning. We haven't had a lot of time to process this, think about it. But Jason Momoa stepping in there. You like this idea? Good, bad?
I love this idea. And as you know, John, I am a Fast and the Furious expert, having only seen Hobbs and Shaw with you.
Right.
And no other film.
Wow.
So as far as I know, that's it. Rob's just so disappointed.
It's true.
In me. I'm sorry, Rob.
I took Chris to go see Hobbs and Shaw with me. And I remember we had gotten the popcorn. We'd gone to sit down. And as we sit down, she turns to me. She goes, this is very exciting. I'm like, yeah, cool. I think this is going to be fun. She goes, yeah. And it's my first Fast and the Furious movie. And it's like the record scratch. It's like, wait, what?
Am I going to miss anything?
Yeah.
One day, just binge the first 5.
Yeah?
6.
Eh,
Okay.
6 is still my favorite.
6 is all right, but
5 is great.
take
but I still think
particular notice of 3, or as I like to call it, the drift. That's it.
All right.
Just like I call the raid the rad, Fast and Furious 3 Tokyo Drift is just the drift.
Now, I'm going to give you totally contradictory
1,
advice.
2, 3, 4.
Start with 4.
Okay.
You can forget 1 and 3, 1, 2, and 3, and just start with 4 and go from there.
Sweet.
So, conflicting advice.
Tokyo. I actually kind of like Tokyo.
Tokyo Drift.
Oh, I wish I did.
kind of
Just
like
you said
Tokyo
you love
Drift.
Han.
That's all I
Well,
know about this franchise
I mean-
is that I'm supposed to love Han.
Goes
I also like
without saying.
Japanese girls. So you got
Hey,
both.
well,
And it's funny, when I saw that film for the first time, there's also great music in that movie.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
I'll give it that. There is some great,
There's some
great music in that.
great
I give
music
you
in that movie. And I like the drifting. I really like the drifting.
That's fun.
And it's like what is initial D? I'm a huge fan of I've wanted to go to Japan my whole life. I've never gone. The reason partly I haven't gone is because I need at least 50 grand to buy die-cast robots.
Because you can't come back without. Plus the shipping just to get them back.
I know, man.
How are you gonna get them
between
back?
Gundam, Space Battleship Yamato, Macross, Robotech.
There's a lot of stuff to get.
And Soul of Chogokin robots, super robots from the 70s, you know.
But
It's going to be a really full suitcase. But yeah, Jason Momoa and his golden retriever energy. I want that in everything.
Golden retriever.
golden retriever energy.
He's just so peppy. Every time you see him, he looks like he's going to wrestle somebody in the best way. Like he just jumps on people on the red carpet. I adore him.
I
And
just
his
want to see him behind the
scrunchies.
wheel of a convertible with his hair blazing in the air, you know.
Oh,
Wouldn't it
you
be
know
great?
it's coming.
There is going to be like a gorgeous shot of him.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Jason Momoa.
In the sunset, probably in space.
Now, then there breaks the question, will John Cena come back? Because you got to assume he is. In which case, you're going to have Aquaman and Peacemaker in the same movie. So I don't know if there's some meta jokes to be told there. or-
What about Jason Statham? The Rock might not come back,
yeah,
but
true.
Justice for Han has not been
I
served.
got a feeling Statham won't. I think there's probably an unspoken understanding between Dwayne Johnson and I think Dwayne Johnson will put up the money too. I think Universal put it up. I don't think Universal's going to try to rock that boat. What are you going to say, Ray?
I'm just saying that sounds like if John Cena is in it too, then Vin Diesel will be acting like the scorned ex-girlfriend with his new boyfriend Jason Momoa.
And his
And
other
then
new
his-
boyfriend.
But the other boyfriend was an ex of The Rock too, John Cena.
Oh, that's
from the
true.
WWE.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he's like, I got my future and I got your past right here, baby.
I got my future and I've
What's
got
up?
your past.
What you can do, Rock? Come back, please.
There's nothing you can have that I can't take away from you.
Wow.
Little Balak there from Raiders. Anyway, wow, that's
Possessed.
cold.
Nothing you can possess.
Nothing you can possess that I
I
cannot
can
take
take
away
away.
from you. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? About maybe Jason Momoa heading on over to Fast and the Furious? Listen, I'll tell you, in all seriousness, again, I think this is a very good move. I mean, I always think in terms of sports analogies. You lose a powerhouse right winger, you can immediately go out and get another powerhouse right winger. Maybe he's not exactly as good, but to fill in that spot,
Is this a hockey analogy?
it is a hockey analogy.
Okay,
Yes,
I just want to
yeah.
be clear.
Yes.
You
I
know.
mean, Seattle's got the Kraken now.
Yeah.
You get yourself brushed
the
up.
music's on again.
They've got a
Oh,
Kraken?
dude, because yeah, you should.
They do. They unleash the Kraken.
Wow.
Yes, they are
They
known
do.
as the Kraken. They are known as the Kraken now. So you got to get brushed up on that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do another off the top here, shall we? And that other off the top is this. The only drama that's been going on longer, I think longer, maybe not, maybe it's just as long as the Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stuff, is the forever turning sands of time in the drama known as James Gunn and Disney. Of course, James Gunn burst onto the scene with Disney. Now, a lot of people didn't know James Gunn was at work because not a lot of people had seen Super or Slither or any of his Troma stuff or whatever, right? And they just heard his name when they announced this movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, to which the whole world went, what? And it's going to be directed by James Gunn, to which the whole world went, who? But that movie came out, became a huge blockbuster success. It opened up the intergalactic world of the MCU in a way that hadn't been previously available to them. Monster success, big plans ahead. Kevin Feige promotes James Gunn, not just to directing some movies. He's going to be his right-hand general in kind of scoping out and planning out the galactic end of the MCU and all this kind of stuff. They make Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I didn't like it quite as much as Guardians of the Galaxy 1, but it was still entertaining. Made a lot of money. Everything's good. And then tweets from 15 years ago came up. And of course, then he got fired from Disney. Every other studio lined up to hire him. He went to Warner Brothers, made Suicide Squad. Him and Disney made up. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is coming. And so we've all been excited about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But now he did a podcast. James Gunn did a podcast that came out today with the Hollywood Reporter. I can't remember the name of the podcast specifically, but he did one of the Hollywood Reporter's podcasts. And James Gunn has verified that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is it. That's it. This is it for this team. You're not going to see this team of Guardians of the Galaxy together again. This comes to us from the folks over at Polygon who write the following. A Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be the end of the road for this particular band of scrappy misfits, according to series director James Gunn. The upcoming superhero film, which is currently scheduled to be released on May 23rd, 2023, will close out this team's trilogy and story, the director told Deadline. Sorry, I said Hollywood Reporter, I meant Deadline. A Deadline on its Hero Nation podcast. Gunn was definitive in saying that this would be the last time people saw this group of characters together as the Guardians of the Galaxy, saying, this is the end for us. This is the last time people will see this team of Guardians. However, this shouldn't come as too much of a surprise for fans, as Gunn has been saying that the third movie would be the end as early as 2017, which of course he was, and he has for a long time. Even though that is true, and that he's been saying for a long time, this is going to be it, we're going to close it up here, whatever. I'm not going to lie to you, this is kind of heartbreaking to me. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think what James Gunn has created, what this cast has created with their chemistry, and when all the drama was going on between James Gunn and Disney, the tightness that whole team of people have together came very much to the forefront, and it shows on screen. They have a great second hand with each other, or a shorthand with each other, I should say. They know how to feed off each other. They have fantastic chemistry. I mean, all the dynamics between Gamora and Peter Quill, the dynamics between Gamora and Drax, the dynamics between Rocket and Drax, or Rocket and Peter. I think it's all works. Whatever mishmash of characters you put together in any particular scene, it all works. And I was hoping that there would be more. And I was hoping that James Gunn would end up being that guy that would forever unify the Marvel fanboys and the DC fanboys together, that he would jump back and forth making DC film and Marvel film and DC film and Marvel film, and everybody could hold hands and sing Kumbaya, but apparently that ain't happening. And that's fine. That's fine. This will be the third film he does. Thank you, James Gunn. Thank you, team that's doing it, and they're moving on. Now, it should be said here, Rob, that he didn't necessarily say this is the final Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Well, that's what I was going to say, John.
Period. But it sounds like when James Gunn says this is the last you're going to see of us, it sounds like he's kind of letting everybody know he's checking out. And we'll see where they go from there. But Rob, you hear this. Number one, I'm sure you're not surprised. But what do you think this means for Guardians of the Galaxy moving forward?
Well, there's a lot of really interesting questions. Gamora being one of them.
Yeah.
Our Gamora, the Guardians Gamora, is dead. The Gamora that now exists has never been a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And so it leads me to believe that this team is going to disassemble the way it assembled in the first Guardians movie. And I think people might be going their separate ways, but that doesn't mean we're not going to see them in other aspects of the Marvel universe, or other areas, or in other movies, or other things. I mean, I could see we're getting a I Am Groot animated series.
Yep.
I would watch a Rocket Raccoon movie.
Hell
so
yeah.
would I.
I would absolutely watch a Rocket Raccoon movie. And, I'm still waiting for my buddy cop, or a buddy, a Grandmaster and the Collector movie with Howard the Duck, where the three of them hit the galactic road, less traveled.
Did you ever see the short film they did with Grandmaster and Daryl, Thor's old roommate?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
that was pretty great.
Since they're brothers, I'd love to see them go
Yeah.
out, and I think it'd be hilarious. Jeff Goldblum and Benicio del Toro do that show. Where's that show?
I'm there for that. Chris, you hear about this apparently end of the road for the group that we have known as Guardians of the Galaxy. It kind of sounds like maybe James Gunn's also saying, this is my last hurrah doing this as well. Do you think they have a future going on here? Do you think we will see more Guardians of the Galaxy moving forward, or do you think this is kind of it for that?
I think we're going to see more of it, just different teams assembled. Because y'all know that they've had so many different people on the roster before. So this opens some things up to some weird stuff. Because that was what was so exciting when Guardians first hit the scene, right? It was, Marvel's going to do some B-sides. Marvel's going to do some stuff that mainstream comic fans don't necessarily know about at the time. So now we could get Angela in there. We could get Vance Astro. We could get Throg. Throg would be fun. No?
Frog and Rocket.
Yeah. Oh, a Throg and Rocket buddy comedy.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
But there's probably one we won't see. And, we're talking about maybe we could see a Rocket standalone movie. Maybe. There is one that we probably won't see, and he's on the screen right now. We will probably not see a Drax the Destroyer movie, because when all that stuff was going on between James Gunn and Disney, I mean, hey, full marks to the big guy. But Dave Bautista is firmly loyal to James Gunn.
Yep.
And he said a lot of stuff when that was going on. And he may have burned some bridges there with Disney, which is fine. I mean, even if he's done like, if you count the Avengers films, he's done like after this like 5 films or something like that.
Although they're using him in those ads, like those Disney Plus ads.
he's doing all the streaming
where he's sitting in the boat.
Yeah, he's sitting in the boat, the white hair.
You know what? That's a good. By the way, I had to do a double take when I saw him in that commercial. Do you think maybe that's a sign that there was some kissing and making up?
I think
I would
probably
assume
so.
so.
That would be kind of nice.
I mean, but
I'll tell you
it
what,
is show business, not show friends.
Yeah, that's what I always say.
But because listen, the thing is, they let him be Drax when he still wasn't yet that great of an actor. Over the years, because of the opportunities Guardians of the Galaxy has afforded him, he's gotten better and better.
Well, he really committed to acting classes and everything. He wanted to do a great job.
He said, I'm going to do the work and I'm going to work my ass off and I'm going to try to become better. He did much like what Channing Tatum did. You know, Channing Tatum, there was a time I thought he was the worst working actor in Hollywood. Now I actually get really excited about seeing him. He's gotten better and
Magic
better.
Mike 3, come on, bro.
What's that?
Magic Mike 3.
Oh, I know
One
they're
of my
doing
most
Magic Mike
eagerly
3.
awaited sequels ever.
I still think you know what?
Not really.
I'm not going to tell the story I was about to tell. Filter between brain and mouth activated. Okay, so, but if you're Disney, you're kind of like, you know, it would be good since we invested all this, if we can now reap some of the benefits of Dave Bautista actually being a pretty decent actor now. So I don't know, maybe there will be a future with him. That's a great point, Rob. I didn't even think about the fact that he's doing their commercials for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, who knows? Fingers crossed. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? James Gunn is saying this is it for what you know as Guardians of the Galaxy. And it sounds like he's saying it's it for him. Do you think they're going to relaunch with a brand new squad of Guardians? Maybe it's going to be a de facto Young Avengers. They're going to get all these kids in. I mean, I don't know. Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's do one more off the top here, shall we? And that one more off the top is this. Y'all know I'm going to sing the song with me. John's most anticipated movie of the year is The Batman. You all know it. You know the song, right? It's tearing up the charts. The Batman is my #1 most anticipated film this year. I cannot wait for this damn thing. From everything and all the casting announcements, right? Paul Dano, who people would consider one of the truly upper echelon actors of our time if it wasn't for the fact that Daniel Day-Lewis was in There Will Be Blood with him, turning in maybe the greatest lead performance in the history of cinema that completely overshadowed a masterful performance by Paul Dano. And he's done great stuff since, but hearing him in there, Colin Farrell as Penguin? I mean, everything I see with him in there is looking better and better. Commissioner Gordon. They needed to go out and get a new Commissioner Gordon, and holy shit, they land a Commissioner Gordon. One of the finest voices in Hollywood. That's a terrible impersonation of Jeffrey Wright's voice.
It's not good.
But I mean, Jeffrey Wright has got, like, I mean, there's certain voices in Hollywood. You got James Earl Jones, Jeremy Irons, but Jeffrey Wright, I contend, is one of those. I'm not even going to try to impersonate it again. It's just too good. It's too good. And then they got Zoe Kravitz to be Catwoman, and she looks fantastic in this. Very excited about that. But then they put out a poster the other day. You guys remember this? They put out this poster the other day. It was like, okay, action down below, kind of boring up top. Whereas it's good, just good that Aaron's
I was
going
going to make a joke with
the
that.
top half, Aaron already had it covered. The
Oh.
top half and the bottom half. But no, honestly, the bottom half concept pretty good. The question mark as the target symbol, but up top it kind of looks a little bit fan made and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's just a poster. It has no bearing at all
And
on
it's
how.
for Carl's Jr. too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Carl's Jr. thing.
The
It looks
big
like
bat burger.
with ketchup on it. This is what Ray said.
Is that really what that is?
No,
Oh.
but that's what it looks
That's what
like.
it looks
But
like.
they should get on it.
Looks like they threw it out with ketchup.
big-
But I mean, it doesn't mean anything. The quality of the poster has no bearing whatsoever on how good or bad the movie's going to be, right?
No.
But then Total Film Magazine, one of the finer trades out there, that's something I've been reading for a very long time. Total Film has their special The Batman issue coming out, and they release their covers. And one of the covers is hot. This is it.
Ugh,
Look at this. Look at this. How sweet is that cover? There's artistic impression in there. The use of like a monotone of color.
It's very
in
cool.
The use of the shading. all that stuff. Like, to me, this is what the poster should have been. Like, if I'm a marketing exec over at Warner Brothers right now, or like say a week ago, and obviously Total Film would have had to have sent this over to Warner Brothers for their approval, I would have gone, wait a minute, what's this? Take that piece of shit we got as our poster right now. Buy it off of Total Film. Whatever we got to spend, buy it off them. We gotta get this set up, because I think this thing is a thing of beauty. Chris, let me ask you, you had a chance to take a look at this art. Do you like it, or do you prefer the other one?
So much more. Well, we talked about this when we talked about the poster initially too. Posters, for me, it's just, am I going to keep that in my house? It doesn't really affect my viewing, but it is, do I want that as a piece of art in my house? I want that. That's dope. I think that looks amazing. And like Ray and I talked about this too. The other one just felt kind of fan arty, and this one seems really, really polished and put together.
Ray, you are our resident, you're our resident graphics guy.
Let me put that up again.
Let me bring it up here for you. You're our resident graphics guy. You take a look at this thing. I'm just wondering, you look at that, does it make your mouth water a little bit? Are you thinking not as good? What do you think?
I didn't notice the bottom part.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I thought it was just his face.
No.
Sorry, I wasn't wearing my glasses. But yeah, that looks great, actually. Yeah, that looks good.
So this gets your stamp of approval?
Well, I'm telling you, before Moonfall started and we saw that trailer on that big...
For those you know he's talking about, when we saw Moonfall, they played this big, long, badass, the Batman trailer.
Yeah, on the big screen. Now I'm excited. I'm excited.
Seeing that was a different experience, wasn't it? Like, because I had not seen that trailer on the big screen before.
I had neither.
Same.
And it was like, oh, okay.
Big and loud.
And you felt it.
And sometimes when you're watching YouTube videos and let's say you guys are around, other stuff is going on, you miss some things, you don't see colors, you don't listen to the music. In the theater, it's quiet and everyone's watching.
And it's massive. It's right in your face.
And then you start hearing those little things and seeing those little things, and you're like, this movie, if 3 hours wasn't the killer of it, is going to be great. That's all I think about. It looks like it's going to be good, and 3 hours are the two battling things in my head.
Ray said to me in the car on the way home, I can't wait to watch that movie twice. First half second half another day. Rob, you had a chance to take a look at this image and this poster. What are you thinking about it?
It's great. I mean, I've collected movie posters for a very long time. There's very few movie posters I bought in the last 25 years because I like artwork as opposed to Photoshop collages. And this, however, is quite clever and very well done. I just feel that, movie posters, great movie posters, are a lost art. They're not used. Key art isn't used the way it used to be used. One piece of key art would be used over every platform to promote, but now posters, they're kind of an afterthought because we now have the internet as opposed to in theater marketing. So this is pretty cool.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think of this The Batman poster? I think it's absolutely awesome. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I think it's pretty incredible. Whatever your guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And guys, before we get into the next topic here today, let's take a second, pay some bills by the good folks who are sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show, the folks over at Liquid IV. We want to take a minute and thank the sponsors of this video, Liquid IV. Now listen, just one stick of Liquid IV added to 16 ounces of water will hydrate you faster and more efficiently than just water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins like B3, B5, B6, B12, and of course vitamin C with 3 times the electrolytes as traditional sports drinks. And what makes Liquid IV so effective is the science of cellular transport technology, or CTT. You see, it's designed to enhance rapid absorption of water and other key ingredients into your bloodstream faster and more efficiently. It tastes great, and it's a great thing to take when you feel run down, you need your daily hydration boost, or even a little bit of hangover recovery. Ann and I get up pretty early in the morning to go to the gym because we can't go to the gym at any other time during the day. And for the last couple of weeks, I have been drinking 1 full glass of water with Liquid IV, and all I can tell you is you can feel the difference during the workout. So go and grab Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code CAMPEA at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you use the promo code CAMPEA, that's CAMPEA, at liquidiv.com. Experience better hydration today when you go to liquidiv.com, and remember, use the promo code at checkout, CAMPEA. All right, and we want to thank the good folks at Liquid IV for sponsoring the John Campea Show. And again, guys, when you guys go over there and you put in that first order, make sure you use that promo code CAMPEA. It supports the channel as well. And thank you again to the folks at Liquid IV for sponsoring the John Campea Show. All right, guys. With that down, let's now move into our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really simple. You see, you guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Chris, what is our first main topic today?
This one comes from Spidey 2099. As the Pam and Tommy miniseries starring Lily James and Sebastian Stan is set to premiere February 2nd, it seems that a growing number are criticizing and planning to boycott the show. Reports are saying that Pamela and Tommy had no involvement whatsoever, and sources are saying Pamela is, quote, finding the retelling of her trauma incredibly painful. As much as I was looking forward to seeing this, I'm having second thoughts and wondering if projects like this should move forward without reaching out to the subjects first. What are your thoughts?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, man. And you know, I can't remember, what is the name of it again? The Pamela and Tommy Lee?
I think it's
Pam and Tommy.
Pam and Tommy.
It's just Pam and Tommy. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it had a shorter name and stuff like that. So look, I remember when I first heard that they were doing this, I didn't really care all that much. It's like, really? They're doing that? I mean, when they said Lily James was going to be in, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I mean, she looks nothing like Pamela Anderson, but that's fine. Doesn't have to. And then I heard Sebastian Stan is Tommy Lee. Okay, he looks nothing like Tommy Lee, but that's okay. And then the trailer came out. And I'm like, that's Lily James? I'm telling you what, the wizarding work that comes out of Hogwarts makeup school in Hollywood is phenomenal, because she looked like Pamela Anderson. Good Canadian kid, by the way. Got to throw that in there, of course. Pamela Anderson, good Canadian kid. And then Sebastian Stan, while he didn't look a hell of a lot like Tommy Lee, man, did he move like him. Like the mannerisms and all that kind of stuff. And then the way they set up, I remember watching that trailer going, this is not really what I thought it was going to be. And it, at least to me, having only seen the promos, it seemed to me that they were really painting Pamela Anderson and Tommy as the victims of a real wrong that was done against them. But more than that, it looks to me like the show is really a social commentary about the rest of us, the world. Because let's face it, there is no scandal of the Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee sex tape if it wasn't for millions of people ravagingly going for it and downloading. And listen, I'll tell you what, when I was a kid and I had access to watch it, I wasn't thinking about, you know what, this is really victimizing somebody by downloading this and watching it. My brain just wasn't thinking that way. It was, oh my God, I get to see Pamela Anderson have sex. That's what my freaking less than developed head and mind was thinking at the time, and probably a lot of other people did too. But this show, it seems like it's going to force us to look at, this has real implications on people's lives. And what does it say about us as a culture and our ravage hunger to consume embarrassing stuff about the famous celebrities we know and watch, particularly if it's salacious, like a sex tape. And this was the sex tape that was the grandfather of them all. It was the One Ring, Rob. This sex tape was the One Ring from under the Mount of Mordor that came out that spawned all the other
truly
sex tapes.
in the darkness bound us.
Yes, and in the darkness it
Many
bound us.
times after, actually.
And it came out, and you know, the three to the Dwarven Lords and this whatever. It came out, and suddenly now celebrity sex tapes was a thing. And I think partially because our culture said and our culture showed that we will devour this stuff. And so now you didn't just have people breaking in and stealing VHS tapes out of their homes. Now they're hacking into their phones. Remember that? There was a big thing. A lot of celebrities, like selfie nudes, started coming out because people were breaking into people's phones. And I have been excited for this show, if for no other reason than really, what's the social commentary here? What is this show going to tell us about us as a culture and as a society as a whole? That being said, like the person who wrote in the email said, apparently two people that they didn't ask if they can make the show and didn't ask for their input on was Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. They didn't ask them. And Pamela Anderson actually going so far as to saying it's actually kind of hurtful reliving this experience. This comes to us from the folks over at Entertainment Tonight who write the following. The upcoming Pam and Tommy Hulu series has been very painful for Pamela Anderson and for anyone that loves her, the source tells Entertainment Tonight. It is shocking that this series is allowed to happen without her approval. Anderson's marriage to Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee is being dubbed as the greatest love story ever sold. That's a really clever hook. The series premieres with the first 3 episodes on Wednesday, February the 2nd, with new episodes streaming weekly on Hulu later this month, showing another side of Anderson and Lee's sex tape scandal and the intense roller coaster ride the then couple went through following the leak of their infamous sex tape. So, and apparently it's gone a little bit even further than that, because now some Pamela Anderson fans are coming out and calling for a boycott of the show and all this kind of stuff. And they raise a really interesting question in the email they sent in. How should we feel about this? You know, knowing, because I don't think any of us knew that. I mean, I think we knew Pamela Anderson wasn't involved in the project, but not even consulted, not even talked to. This is a good Canadian kid. You gotta be a little bit more polite than that. So how should we feel about that? And I'm going to tell you what, and this is my initial thought, that very well could be different if you ask me again in 3 or 4 days. And I don't mean this to sound insensitive, particularly towards a fellow good Canadian kid, but it doesn't matter if she consented to this or not. This was a big thing that was a shift in our pop culture, in our society, and how we as people behave. And it ushered in a completely new kind of era of this digital voyeurism that we as a culture, this is a cultural event. And yes, Pamela and Tommy were at the heart of it. And I get that. And I understand that. And I think this show, at least I hope this show, is going to make us feel a lot of empathy for them and really portray them as the victims of a crime. But it is bigger than them, actually. They were at the heart of it, but it is bigger than them. And I would say this, while I don't dispute that maybe this show being made is raising painful memories for Pamela and probably Tommy Lee as well, I don't doubt that. But, and I'm not saying this is an apples to apples comparison, but it's a question that needs to be asked. When they make Lost, and they have the show predicated on a plane crash, or if let's make it more modern, Yellow Jackets, and they predicate a show on a plane crash, did they go out and talk to the families of people who have died? A lot of people have died in plane crashes. And are we asking them, does us making a big multimedia thing in the world that's kind of focused around a big event of a plane crash and people dying, are you okay with that as somebody who is a loved one, a family member of somebody who died in that? Or is this going to be painful for you? And again, I'm not purporting that that's an apples to apples comparison. But I remember in Canada, there was the worst serial killer in Canadian history. Bernardo and Homolka, which, I mean, this tells you something about the difference between the United States and Canada. They had like 3 or 4 victims, and that's the worst serial killer in the history of Canada. But this married couple, they would lure in young teenage girls, they would drug them, have sex with them, and murder them. And the guy got life in prison. His ex, Homolka, she got a sweeter deal because she testified against the husband, and now she's out. She's out of prison now. But they went ahead and made a movie about that. And I remember this came up at the time. And for Canadians, it's like, this is a horrible thing. Like, this is like a big stain on it. But an argument was made, and I thought there was a good argument made that, listen, this was not just what happened to them. This is a national event that happened. And we got to ask ourselves the question, are these the types of stories that really should be told? And I think if there is artistic merit, and if there's social commentary, and if there's an examination of who we are as a people in the story, which I believe this Pamela and Tommy Lee thing has to offer, then, and I may feel differently about this 72 hours from now. I may have a totally different answer 72 hours from now. But for now, I kind of feel like it's bigger than Pamela and Tommy Lee, even though it's called Pamela and Tommy Lee. So I don't know, Rob, I think this is a very interesting question that our viewer writes in. And again, I'm just at the beginning stages of kind of wrestling through this and how I feel about it, but that's kind of my initial reaction. You hear this, what's your initial thought?
Well, it really comes under, legalities as well. For instance, Adam McKay made Vice about Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was the vice president of the United States. So he's a public figure. His actions were documented. And once you do that, what are the legalities there? Who owns your story? The Social Network was based on a novel by Ben Mesrick called The Accidental Billionaires. That was about Mark Zuckerberg and the creation of Roberto Saverin, who Andrew Garfield played, and the Winklevoss twins. All those are real people, but this was a happenstance. This was a thing that occurred. It's a matter of public record. It was documented in someone else's book. So
now, Rob, are you saying that like Zuckerberg wasn't consulted before the social network? So none of those people were consulted either?
No, yeah,
okay.
they weren't consulted. They're real people, just like Pamela and Tommy Lee are real people. But this incident is a historical event, and so you can't copyright a historical event. And even if you're involved in a historical event, what are the legalities of controlling your own likeness in the instance that occurs? And as from what I understand, you sort of lose your rights. But again, I'm no lawyer. Somebody else would have to talk about this. But it happened. This is an event that happened. The moon landing happened. You can't say it didn't happen. And if you want to dramatize...
Well, there are some who say it didn't happen, but...
yeah, the big enough telescope, you can actually see where they landed. But so it's a very interesting legal area. But I'm wondering if this is actually based on a book. Because otherwise, if it's a story that wasn't, and this is the origination of that story, I don't know how that all works. But... if it happened, if it's a real historical event, there's legalities that protect its fair use. You can tell this story under fair use. But again, I don't know. You'd have to consult things and look into it or whatever. But unfortunately, they don't have control over something that actually happened.
Chris, I mean, this is, I think this is a really interesting topic because maybe the show becomes like the tape itself. Something everybody wants to see, but maybe we shouldn't see. I mean, I don't know, but you hear this and the question gets posed, like, should we feel funny about watching this show, knowing that it's kind of made about these people, but these people weren't really involved? I don't know. How are you feeling about it?
I do feel funny about it now. And I have a friend who's hopefully making it into the show. They got cast on it and filmed their stuff. But now knowing that she wasn't consulted at all, it does feel a little gross because it just does feel reminiscent of that tape's release, right? She didn't consent in that being shown to everyone either. So that does kind of just have this echo effect of what actually happened before. And it really dehumanized her. And I think is what has led our culture to dehumanize figures as well on television or on YouTube. People don't view entertainers as people.
Yeah.
They view them, and when you talk to people about this too, I can't tell you how many times just on YouTube alone, I've had people say, "Oh, I didn't even realize you were a real person. How did you not realize I was a real person?" And that's just from talking about movies. Can you imagine the scrutiny you're under if people have objectified you in that manner? I am hoping that it is the great kind of social commentary that you're talking about, John, and it looks like it's going to be that from the promos. But other shows, like Impeachment, American Crime Story, they had Monica Lewinsky consulted every step of the way. I feel like there should have at least just been some kind of communication here. And obviously we're getting parts of a story, but as of right now, I feel a little torn on whether or not I should watch it.
But it's like King Richard came out, the recent movie about the Serena and the Williams sisters. Yeah, Serena and they
starring Aaron Cummings, by the way.
Starring Aaron Cummings, but they did not agree to allow their names to be used as producers on the movie until they had signed off on it.
Right.
And they love the movie. They loved the portrayal of their father, so they said, okay. So it was interesting. It was conditional, but they still, were involved. And when you're a public figure and you've done so many interviews and you're out there, like if you've given an interview to a publication, you don't own that interview anymore. The publication would, I guess, own that interview. If somebody does an Esquire article, the person who wrote that article, they would own the copyright, even though they might be interviewing the Williams sisters' dad, right. King Richard himself, whatever. So it's a very weird thing that we have in our culture. And I think the real question is, what is the moral value, like you pointed out? Is telling the story a bigger issue? Are we learning something from this? And I think probably yes. I mean, we now live in a world where, because of these sex tapes, celebrities were intentionally releasing sex tapes, and they were intentionally using things. Now we have a whole universe of people that are putting their own private, intimate lives online, whether it's on OnlyFans or porn sites or whatever.
I haven't made as much from that as I thought I would.
Yeah, me
I'm just
neither.
going to throw that out. It's
I know.
not the windfall I thought I was going to get.
But I mean, this was the beginning of all of that. It was a beginning of a great shift.
Yeah.
And do you own James Dean being digitally recreated to appear in movies?
Yep.
I mean, what is the moral and ethical implications of what we are as people? Where is our identity? Where does it begin and where does it end? And I think this is something that we in our society have not figured out yet. And it's probably a good thing that the conversation continues.
You bring up a really interesting point when you brought up, I think Cheney's a great example of this, because it also asks a question about us, the audience. Because nobody cared, because people don't like Dick Cheney.
Right.
So nobody cared that he wasn't consulted. Nobody cared that
Cheney's not a victim.
Cheney's right. So Cheney's not a victim. Or when, or the various individuals, like the one with Steve Carell, The Big Short.
Yeah, which is
with The Big Short, the people whose lives were portrayed in that movie, not consulted.
Again,
at least
like Michael Burry, that was based on a book,
right?
So
and so, but a lot of people don't really care. But we like Pamela Anderson, and so now we care because of somebody we like. And that's an interesting thing that I catch myself as an audience member. It's like, wait a minute, is that something that I really think, or am I only thinking differently about it now because of somebody I like versus somebody I didn't like before?
That's a fair point.
And I think that's something that we got to catch ourselves into. Anyway, I think this is a fascinating topic. It will be interesting to see how viewed this thing is. And I'm going to be very interested to see how this show portrays Tommy Lee and Pat. Because I'll tell you what, I'm going to start to feel pretty gross about it if they start to portray this like it's their own damn fault.
Exactly.
She's parading around on, what's the damn beach movie called, beach show?
Baywatch.
Yeah.
She's parading around in Baywatch and the tight little things that she got it. Like, if they start portraying her as that, then it's going to be like, screw you guys. If they really do portray it as well as social commentary, portraying them as the victims of this, I don't know, it's going to be really interesting to see how we feel about it, depending on how the show portrays
Well, I
them
think
all.
you can see from the trailers. I mean, I have to say, this was made by the guy that made I, Tonya.
Yeah,
I believe,
and
which
he
was
did such a good job on
and
that.
Again, that was another case of something that really happened, and there were books about it, and it was detailed in many different periodicals, and they were able to make that movie. Now, I know that I think that Tonya Harding, she had some kind of input, like she might have talked to Margot Robbie or something, and she weighed in on the film, but I don't think there's any way that she could have stopped it.
All right, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about all this? Like, were you interested in the show at all? Maybe you weren't at all. Were you interested, and now maybe this type of a topic makes you go, oh, should I watch this or not? I mean, how are you feeling about it? Whatever you guys are thinking right now, jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This one comes from Christopher. I find it weird that we don't hear people talk much about the 2 of the best comic book movies of all time, Hellboy. I love these movies, especially The Golden Army. I saw that Ron Perlman himself is now saying he wants another one and that they owe it to the fans to give it to us. With Perlman behind it, do you think we can finally get Hellboy 3?
I'll tell you what, man, those Hellboy movies, they came out at a time before the Golden Age started. Right? Like, it's one thing to try to look back on those now, but you got to understand, when Hellboy and Hellboy 2 came out, that golden age of comic book movies that I really think was really kicked off with X-Men. That kind of what kicked it off, but it wasn't really there yet. It hadn't reached that pinnacle yet. The process had started, but Hellboy came out when comic book movies were not yet the coolest things in the world. And Ron Perlman, Clay from Sons of Anarchy, he comes out there as Hellboy and he owns that role. All due respect to David Harbour, who I didn't think did a very bad job portraying Hellboy in that 2019 version. I mean, the movie was crap, but it wasn't his fault per se. But I mean, this guy, he's the guy. Perlman's the guy. And we loved it. And then the second one came out. Now, I'm going to admit, I didn't like the second one as much as the first. I know a lot of people, Rob, I think you might like the second one better than the first, if I remember correctly.
A little bit.
A little bit. And our viewer clearly did. I didn't quite like it as much, but a lot of people liked it even better. But the bottom line was, it was still hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah.
It was still hitting really well. But then it disappeared. They wanted to do more. Never really happened. What happened? So anyway, now as years passed, and Ron Perlman is now in his 70s, but there apparently is still a love and a desire from a lot of people to want to see this done, and Ron Perlman himself kind of feels that they need to do this. This comes to us from the folks of Slash Film, who write the following. As he bluntly and hilarious puts it, am I eager to do Hellboy 3? No, I'm 71 fucking years old. But that's not to say that he doesn't support the cause anyway. Perlman goes on to wax poetic about the duology's unfinished business and the countless fans who would be eager to receive a continuation, even throwing in a personal plea to Guillermo del Toro himself in the process. We owe this to the fans, and we should give it to them because it would be an epic conclusion. So Guillermo, if you're reading, I'm not done pounding you to get this fucking thing done, says Perlman, in only the way Ron Perlman can say it.
And then Perlman says, you know, my kids still call you uncle. You know,
Paul Walker wanted you to do
Paul
this.
Walker wanted you to do
Yeah,
that.
let's do it for Pablo. Family. Just copy and paste whatever Vince said and replace Rock with Guillermo.
This Guillermo, come back. Come back, Guillermo. Let's get this done. So they ask a very intuitive question. Okay, well, listen, you got Ron Perlman now getting on board with this, and he's now banging his chest and saying, we need to do this. Not that we should, not that I'm open to it. We need to do this. We need to do it for the fans. We owe it to the fans. They want this. The people want this. The millions and millions of people want this. They want Hellboy 3. So can this actually happen? No, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. And I'll tell you why it's going to happen. Don't take it from me. Take it from Guillermo del Toro. And here's why this ain't going to happen. Now, if you guys will remember, back when this was all kind of coming about, Guillermo del Toro and the head of Legendary Pictures, they had met. And basically, Guillermo del Toro gave his pitch for the movie. Sorry, Guillermo del Toro gave his pitch for the movie that at the time, they said, this is going to cost like $200 million to make this. And Guillermo said, I'm not compromising on my vision. And good for him. But he wanted to make the most expensive one. Now, I think he did compromise a little bit, and they got it down a little bit. But here's the reality, and here's why it's going to be really damn hard for it to ever happen. When you look at Hellboy 1, Hellboy 1 made worldwide a grand total of $99 million. Oh, okay, this is fine. Remember, this was before comic book movies were the biggest thing in the world. Mm-hmm. The second one came out. Much bigger budget. The second one's budget was around the $80 million range. Made $168 million. Okay, that's an improvement over the first. But let's call a spade a spade. Any comic book movie comes out today makes $168 million. We're calling that thing like one of the biggest crash and burns in the history of the genre, right? Now, it's in that context that Guillermo del Toro kind of puts this thing to sleep. Now, this is a quote from back in 2017 from the outlet Den of Geeks. But this is important stuff. Listen to this. From 2017, the hard fact is that the movie's going to need about $120 million, because remember, he pared that down from the $200 million initially. The movie's going to need about $120 million, and there's nobody knocking down doors to give it to us, says Guillermo del Toro. It would be great to complete the trilogy, but in a way, I don't see the world, the industry, supporting the idea. The final roll of the dice appeared to arrive early in 2017 when Guillermo del Toro tweeted that if he got 100,000 likes on Twitter, that he would arrange a meeting with Mike Mignola, of course, the creator of the comic book, and Ron Perlman to discuss Hellboy 3's future. Unsurprisingly, del Toro's tweet got plenty of attention. not the least of which of here on Den of Geek. 1 month later, though, Del Toro finally put those hopes to rest. Sorry to report, Del Toro wrote, spoke to all the parties, and I must report that 100% the sequel will not happen. That was Guillermo del Toro back in 2000.
Don't give me your math and your figures and your facts.
There is a bright side, John.
What's that?
As far as Legendary and Guillermo del Toro are concerned, you know what we got instead?
We got Pacific Rim.
Damn right.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
One of the
Pacific Rim,
greatest,
baby.
one of the greatest times I've ever spent in a movie theater with Guillermo del Toro in attendance. About 4 months before that movie opened, was in that theater, and
that
oh
movie was
my gosh,
awesome.
I love the first. And by the way, like Guillermo del Toro, we've had back when I was at AMC and stuff, like we had a lot of big names come into the studio. It was a fun day that Guillermo del Toro came into our studio. That was a really cool day. Perry did the interview with him, did a terrific job interviewing him. Oh, that was
boy, do I love Pacific Rim.
too bad. What about Pacific Rim
I don't
2?
want to talk about that.
No, we don't.
We
We don't talk
that
about
one.
Bruno.
Two
We
was
don't,
good too. I liked it. Big
I
robots,
do
baby.
like it.
Big robots.
there were big robots.
Yep.
And Charlie Day becoming psycho. I don't know what Charlie Day was doing that, but I love Pacific Rim. And you're
I
right,
do
we
too.
got that. So look, I get it. You got Ron Perlman saying we should do this. We owe it to the fans, and but this was a road Guillermo del Toro 5 years ago tried to go down. He couldn't get the money then. I don't think he'd get the money now. And it seems like he's already put it to bed. Like hearing that Ron Perlman is even saying, like, Del Toro, I'm going to keep pounding you on this. I'm going to keep pounding you on this. And I don't think he means it in a date kind of way, but I'm going to keep pounding you on this. It sounds like maybe he's been trying to wear him down over the years and Del Toro isn't budging. And I'll tell you right now, whatever budget Del Toro would want to make today in a Hellboy 3, it's going to be a hell of a lot more than $120 million bucks. Today, that's what he's going to want to do. He's got a Best Picture Academy Award on his mantle now.
Yeah,
And so that price is just going up. So listen, do I want to see Hellboy 3? Hell yes, I want to see Hellboy 3. But are we going to get it?
no.
I don't think so. Chris, let me throw it over to you. Do
Why
you
can't
think
I get the things that I want? I don't have a PlayStation 5. I don't get a Hellboy 3.
By the way, and let's not forget they did make another Hellboy movie.
They did, and I was very
They
excited
did.
about that one. And
And-
then I saw it and went, oh no.
Yeah,
Yes.
and what do you think that did to the chances
Yeah.
of them doing
it,
a Hellboy 3?
it dropped a nuke on those chances.
Well,
Yeah.
And Guillermo del Toro stuff is so wonderful and beautiful with all those practical effects and the makeup and everything. And that's what I want from a Hellboy. I want to be immersed in that universe. I just want this. If I'm really good this year, can I have this, Guillermo, please?
And we even got the spin-off movie, the Hellboy spin-off movie, which BPID, the one with Ryan Reynolds and Jeff Bridges.
Was that
But they didn't really connect that though.
Well, but it is a spin-off,
In a-
from
in a way, yeah.
Mignola's comics. So, but yeah.
But I mean, so Rob, you're looking at this. Number one, let me ask you this. Do you want even, listen, because a lot of people have moved on, right? So maybe you don't, but do you want a Hellboy 3? But then being realistic, do you think there could be a chance that we could get it done?
No. And I think, you know what? Here's the thing. It's great that we got two Guillermo del Toro Hellboy movies. The same way it was cool that we got
I'd see a
Guillermo-
Del Toro Hellraiser film.
I would too. We got a Guillermo del Toro Blade movie. So I think it's great that, rather than concentrate on what we didn't get, I always like to concentrate on what we did get. And I think that was an embarrassment of riches the way it was. I mean, if you think about Blade 2, Hellboy 1 and 2, Pacific Rim, hell, even his director's cut of Mimic. Come on now. We've gotten a lot of good Guillermo del Toro stuff. Let's not even talk about The Devil's Backbone, Kronos, or Pan's Labyrinth. I mean, he has given us some world-class fantasy cinema, let me tell you. So I'd rather see something like another extension of where, and even what was the haunted house movie that he did?
That he did with Jessica Chastain.
Yeah, the
Crimson
Ghost
Peak?
Crimson Peak.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
His animated stuff, the whole Troll Hunters world that he created on Netflix is amazing.
And the
world building
Pinocchio
there.
movie
Pinocchio
we're
thing
getting.
coming.
Yeah.
Which begs the question: would at this point would Del Toro even want to go back?
Yeah, is that a
Doing
good use of
Hellboy
his
again.
time?
No.
I would say no. I think he's got better things to do.
Time has passed for
What
that.
about what I want?
I mean, I would like it though. I'm not going to lie, I would like it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about all this? Number one, would you guys like to see a Hellboy 3 with, even if he's 71, a 71-year-old Ron Perlman?
That's what prosthetics
He
are
can
for,
still
dude.
kick all of our asses.
He absolutely he could.
Yeah.
He's still clay, man. He's still clay. But then beyond that, what do you think of the realistic chance? Do you really think that maybe it could happen? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
Fourth.
This is from
No,
on,
Fourth?
third
Is this third?
on the screen. I was just so worked up about the last one, it felt like more. This is from On the Screen. Hi, John and crew. What do you think about the news that Peacock is losing money at a stupidly fast rate? Almost as stupid as its name. The Wrap says the lost...
I sent you a text
You did
yesterday
send me
about
a text
this.
about this yesterday.
The Wrap says that they lost $1.7 billion in 2021, which is more than double what they lost the year before. At this rate, will Peacock be the first casualty of the streaming wars? Is there any way for it to survive?
Okay, I just got to say, I just finally took a look at the graphic ratings. Peacock Max TV Plus Unlimited. Come up with this shit.
I just had to throw it back there.
Peacock Max Plus Unlimited.
I didn't want you to see it until later on in the topic.
Well, you know what the
Man,
problem is? I wouldn't have, except that as Chris was reading off the topics, you're doing this. Trying to look at the monitor behind me. I'm like, what is Ray looking at? Peacock
Yeah, I'm gonna play
Max.
it cool next. I just wanted to see if you caught it, because sometimes you
Sometimes I don't. It just goes right over my head.
No, or you substitute the image when it's something that you.
Oh,
don't
that's true. But
think
yeah,
would work better.
Peacock Max TV Plus Unlimited. Love it. Anyway, listen, of course, we all know the story here. The stupidest name in the history of streaming services. Hell, Crackle is a better name for
Crackle
a
is a
streaming.
better name.
Crackle is definitely a better
Crunchyroll,
name.
a great name.
Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll is so
great.
good.
Crunchyroll's a
That
great
is a
name.
better
It
name.
has nothing to do with food, though.
That's
That's
It has nothing. No, it
That's
doesn't. You should-
disappointing.
We're watching Food Wars.
It's not a Guy Fieri channel, but no, Crunchyroll, nothing, much better name than that is. The Peacock, dumbest name in the world. And before anybody writes in, I know, don't you know that NBC's logo has always been a peacock? I know, that doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. So, at any rate, dumb name. But I got to tell you, this is a service that has grown on me. Like, I find myself actually watching it a whole bunch, not just because of Parks and Rec and not just because of The Office, but like, I just started watching Wolf Like Me. And that's a Peacock. And I'm like, you know what? If this is what their original programming stuff is going to be, okay. I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate about the title, but that's the name of it now. They're not going to change it at this point, so I might as well stop crying about it. But it's actually a pretty good thing. But here's the problem. Like all streaming services, especially once they get rolling, they're losing money. And they're losing the economic shit ton. That's it. Shit ton. A shit ton of money is the money that they are losing.
You know, that economic term.
The economic term that they teach you in Harvard. The shit ton of money.
You sold that so well that I was like, I don't know economics terms, John. Why are you snapping at me?
So yeah, they are losing a lot of money on this. All right. This comes from the folks over at Variety write the following. NBCU parent Comcast outlined plans to boost spending on Peacock content even more in 2022 and beyond. Comcast is reporting a fourth quarter earnings Thursday revealed that Peacock generated $778 million in revenue. That's not profit. $778 million in revenue for the full year 2021 with an adjusted loss of $1.7 billion. That's compared with $118 million of revenue and an adjusted EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, loss of $663 million in 2020. They went from $663 million in losses to $1.7 billion in losses. For 2022, Comcast expects Peacock losses to total about $2.5 billion as it invests in content doubles. They're going to double down on the investment in content. CFO Mike Kavanaugh said on the earnings call. Okay, so look, I get it. You see these numbers. You took in $778 million and you still ended up losing $1.7 billion? That's terrible. It is, but I'm going to tell you right now, the folks over at Peacock are not spooked by this. I'm going to tell you right now, they probably expected this.
Of course they did.
When you're getting this type of a thing up and running, it takes boatloads of money. Like, people are saying, like, I remember I had this conversation with somebody the other day. It's like, well, it doesn't really cost Disney anything to run Disney Plus. I mean, they own all the content. The content licensing is one part of the money that goes into this. I'm not going to say who, but I was talking to somebody who was working on the insides of Disney, and they had a little bit of a look. I mean, and a lot of this is public knowledge too, because it's a publicly traded company. But the amount of administrative costs, forget the technology, forget all the offices around the world. The administrative cost is in the double-digit billions to run Disney Plus. Double-digit billions, right? So the folks at Peacock knew we're not going to come out of the gate and be in the black. We know that. We've got to get this out and running. We got to get brand awareness out there, and then we got to start pumping money like it's going out of style into our original content, because they know, Rob, you and I have been saying it for like a couple of years now. Original content, unique IP is king. It's what's going to be the king going forward long term. And they had to get themselves established. They have a good, healthy library of stuff, and now they got to move forward. Is this a stunning number to hear? Yeah, it is. Like $1.7 billion in losses. Of course it is. But I think if you take a step back and take a better look at it, you realize, yeah, they're okay with that. And they know next year's probably going to be $2.5 billion in losses. And they're doubling down on their content investment again. They don't look at this as what money I put in right today can I take out tomorrow. They're what money we put in over the next 2 or 3 years that hopefully we start seeing back in 8, 9, 10, or 11 years. That's how these guys look at it. And I don't think they're spooked by this. I don't think they're shocked by it, even though to us the number looks shocking. Rob, you sent me the text. I first heard about this because I'm sitting there eating my lunch yesterday and bing, bing, like my phone's going on. What's going on? And Rob is saying, like, holy crap, look at that. Anyway, you had a look at this. What are your take? What's your take
look,
on it?
we talked on the show about how basically the streamers are spending 100 to 150% of their subscription dollars on original programming to fight, quote unquote, the streaming wars, which, by the way, that will not last. Eventually, they're going to have to stop that kind of a spend. I mean, look what happened to Quibi, our favorite thing. I mean, you can't compete in this marketplace, like you said, a shit ton. You have to spend a shit ton of money because you have to justify, why are people subscribing to your platform? I mean, the thing about Netflix is there's stuff dumping every day that you don't even know about. So at least and they're acquiring stuff from all around the world. If you look at if you really wanted to look, you could find new stuff to watch on Netflix just about every day. It might not be stuff you're interested in, but Netflix, and look at what happened to their stock price over the last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they've been getting hammered. And
Yes,
you think that, how would they get hammered? This is a very volatile, crazy time. And the problem is, the industry is trying to figure out, well, let's go all in over here, all in over there. The studio's like, we're going to have day and date releases on streaming that we're going to have on in the movie theaters, and you watch Spider-Man No Way Home, that blows up that common conventional wisdom. So we're in a very crazy, volatile sea change. These are rough seas. This is not a sea change that's going from one place to another. There's undercurrents and riptides and all kinds of things happening, and nobody knows. This right now is going to be, if this happens for 2 or 3 more years, they said how much they make, 600 and something billion. So a decrease, if they didn't make that, think about what the loss could have been, over $2 billion.
Yeah.
If they hadn't. So we'll see. Is there going to be growth over the next couple of years? So eventually that loss diminishes? Because like you said, they knew they were going to have these kinds of losses. Yeah. But for how many years?
John, you know what? I'm sorry. But you know what annoys me about the streaming stuff is yesterday I tried to sign up for Showtime, right? And they have Show Anytime, Show Go, Showtime Go, and something else. And I just said, nope, I'm not going to try to figure out.
Same thing happened with HBO
and Paramount. You're saying you're going through a dilemma with Paramount, right?
Yeah,
trying to watch
Paramount Network. There's Paramount Plus. There's, I mean, of course, and that was a big thing back to HBO. But HBO launched HBO Max while they still had HBO, HBO Now, HBO Go, and a lot of people were like,
and Paramount Movies, they announced yesterday, the day before, they're going to change that around. Like, what's amazing to me is it shows a real lack of leadership or understanding
exactly
when they launch these things, and everything is so half-assed. Like, I think the entire entertainment business, especially in this area, how many Blu-rays, and I know people don't like physical media, But how many mistakes are being made even in the release of movies on physical media? They have to recall things because they've gotten rid of so much institutional knowledge because they don't want to pay anybody who's veterans of the industries. So they've got all these people making decisions that are not veterans. They don't understand half of this product. And I think consumers are suffering because we're all like, well, what should we do? What should we subscribe to?
And there's a we don't talk about Bruno thing going on with Netflix that nobody's talking about. And that's this. But inside Netflix, they know this. There is a ticking clock going on in Netflix because right now with all the big, we always talk about, look how big Lucifer did on there and look how big Umbrella Academy did. By the way, I cannot wait for Umbrella Academy to come back. But
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but the not talked about reality at Netflix is all of their top performing shows are not their shows.
Yep.
All their top shows are catalog shows that are licensed to them from other networks, and the licenses are starting to expire, and everybody else is launching their own streaming networks now, and all those catalogs of shows that is Netflix's top performers are all going to be leaving them soon. And so while they're doing pretty good, they're doing better right now than they've ever done, stock prices notwithstanding, but they know they're in a moon race. They're in a race to the moon with all the other things because they're going to lose all their top performing content in the next couple of years. And so they got to get that original stuff going. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this, the money loss. I had a curiosity too, from a personal level. Mm-hmm. Are you and Logan watching anything on Peacock right now? Is this something that's even a part of your daily life?
Literally just wrestling. Royal Rumble. Yay.
Oh, that's
we're gonna watch.
I forgot
We're gonna watch the Royal Rumble on that.
WWE. I totally forgot about that.
And then, I mean, Office reruns, right? Because we need that chicken soup for the soul that is The Office. But other than that, I mean, I haven't checked out any of their original content. I literally just use it so I can watch Becky Lynch throw down.
Listen, and we all thought it was going to be a great thing when they got the WWE network. A lot of people thought, oh, this is going to be great. And then it was the WWE network, right? Like they were having all those broadcast problems.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? They were
very first pay-per-view, everyone wanted the Spanish audio. And that's what everyone got.
And the video was like choppy. And
John, here's a question too that I would ask. So we know that the last year of Friends was on Netflix and they paid $100 million for 1 year of licensing. So $100 million. So that is the value of Friends today. Does that mean that HBO Max, even though it's partly a Warner Brothers show, but they still have to pay for it, they don't get it for free? So is the licensing of Friends, even on an HBO Max, $100 million a year? Probably not.
It's a great question because here's what a lot of people forget. You got to understand, and Rob, you understand this, but like when a lot of these actors in these shows, it doesn't matter that Friends went off the air however many years ago.
They own some.
They still get residuals and they still get a piece of the pie. And so you have a fiduciary responsibility that you have to try to maximize your profits of the show. Therefore, once HBO or whoever it is takes that show back, they have to have one hand paying the other within their corporate structure. They got to pay for it. Even though it's coming out of one pocket and going to the other, you still have to do that because you have a fiduciary responsibility, people involved, and they got to get paid. Because there have been lawsuits, Rob, when people say, "Oh no,
the X-Files."
Exactly.
Chris Carter,
yes.
they were dealing. Fox was dealing to itself,
Yep.
and not getting the kind of money they could get with an outside license. And I mean, I'm curious about all this. I mean, I don't. And again, I think a lot of people are curious about this because they want to understand the network television business is completely disrupted because the way people got paid through residuals and foreign licensing deals are all going away because streamers own the worldwide rights to things. I mean, smarter people than I could explain it. I mean, I'm just a neophyte when it comes to these things, but there's something to be considered.
The question is for you guys. What do you think especially when you hear that number coming right out of the gate, 1.7 billion in losses, less than $1 billion in revenue? Do you think that's astronomical, or do you look at and say, no, this is probably what they planned? Do you guys watch Peacock? Listen, I'm not going to lie. I hate the name of it, but I've actually kind of been enjoying the service. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 4, shall we? Chris, what is our fourth and final main topic today?
Last one is coming from Frank G. John, Bryce Dallas Howard needs to direct a Star Wars movie. I know you'll say she's not experienced enough, but when you watch the episodes Sanctuary and The Heiress in The Mandalorian and the most recent episode of Boba Fett, you'll see she not only totally gets Star Wars, but knows how to make it feel like Star Wars and a great story at the same time. Do you think she's earned a shot at live action movies?
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And listen, if you had asked me 2.5 years ago, do I think Bryce Dallas Howard, I mean, for those of you who don't know, she is Hollywood royalty. She is the daughter of Ron Howard. Thank you, Backdraft. I mean,
Night Shift.
On and on. Ron Howard's made some damn good films, man. And then he made that Row Your Boat Chasing the Whale one with Chris Hemsworth. But at any rate, so you got Bryce Dallas Howard. Of course, she's most known as an actress, being in the Jurassic World and all that kind of stuff. And I would have said 2.5 years ago, well, no, you cannot give her a Star Wars movie to direct because she has no experience. She hasn't done anything. But then she did exactly what should happen. She went and got some experience. She did it on a smaller scale. That was still Star Wars, but it was a small episodic thing under the watchful eye of a guy like Jon Favreau, with story kind of supervision being given there by Dave Filoni, who knows Star Wars canon as good as anybody in the world. But she stepped in there and she did this episode called Sanctuary. And it was one of my favorite episodes of that season. It wasn't my number one favorite episode, but it was one of my favorite episodes of the season. Between that, the one Deborah Chow did, and then the one Taika Waititi did. But she really showed that, because look, the television shows are different from movies. In movies, the director has all the power. In television show, it's really the writers and the showrunners. You can't make a decision on your episode that you're doing that is going to alter the destiny and alter the path that the story is going that's going to be happening in the episodes that come after you. There's only so much way you can do. But what you can do as a director is you take that dialogue, you take the scenes that need to happen, and you bring it to life. And we have seen, even just in these Star Wars shows, that there is a fundamental difference between a director who does know how to breathe life into it and a director who doesn't. We won't name names here, but we've seen the difference. And when you saw Sanctuary, it was like, first of all, just the whole thing about Mando, like starting to have like a romantic feelings about something. We've never seen that before. That could have gone really cheesy, but they didn't. And then they created this great self-contained story, and you felt the horror of the villagers and the band of pirates coming. It was some classic Hollywood tropes, but she made it work great. And then we found out it wasn't a fluke, because then she did The Heiress, and she was responsible for introducing us to Bo-Katan. And again, the scripts are written, storyboarded out, but you got to breathe life into that, man. And we saw a couple episodes of Mandalorian season 2 that maybe didn't have so much life breathed into them, but she breathed life into it and she did a bang up job. Now we fast forward again. And we've got a Book of Boba Fett that through 4 episodes, I liked 2 of them. I didn't like 2 of them. Overall, I'm feeling kind of underwhelmed with Book of Boba Fett. And then boom, in comes the Return of the Mandalorian episode. Episode 5, The Return of the Mandalorian. Now, the uninitiated can say, well, anybody could have directed that because Mando comes back. Anybody could have done a good job with that. Really? You know how many times we've heard that? You know how many times there have been amazing episodes of television or amazing movie premises come out? They're like, well, anybody could have directed that. And it's like, well, no, it turns out that maybe that's not true. And the one scene I come down to, we talked about this the other day, guys, with this episode 5, was that scene when Mando is just getting on the plane, getting on the transport, and he's stopped by security, by the TSA. They got turn in your weapons. And that easily could have been a profoundly ridiculous scene. We go back to Boba Fett in his palace, who was Bib Fortuna's at the time, chasing a little robot around the kitchen, picking up the robot by the neck, going, I am Boba Fett. Like, that is a scene that's what that TSA scene could have been. But Bryce Dallas Howard built tension, built an emotional element to it, and it had the simple act of checking your goods in the box had us on the edge of our seats going, oh my God, he's putting the Darksaber in there, oh my God. Like, and that's just an example of what she did in the rest of this series. You ask me, do I think Bryce Dallas Howard Is too inexperienced to do a Star Wars movie? 2.5 years ago, yes. Today, hell no, she's not too inexperienced. She's got experience. And she's not only done that, she's shown she can do it, and she's shown she's improved every step of the way. She knows how to take a setting and not just tell a fanboy story. She knows how to build heart into scenes. She knows how to grip you with tension regardless of what's going on. She doesn't need explosions going off to make you feel excitement and get your heart pounding. Should Bryce Dallas Howard direct a Star Wars movie? Hell yes. Now listen, you know me. I'm one of these guys that like, hey, X director and X role, as long as it's a talented director, all that kind of stuff. I still feel that way, but she's on that list now. She is on that list. And so again, you asked me, should she direct one? The answer is hell yes. She absolutely should. She's shown she's got what it takes. And what movie should it be? Well, in an ideal world, it'd be Solo 2. She would do the Ivan Reitman to Jason Reitman handing off of the baton of Ghostbusters thing. She would take her dad's film Solo, and she would take that baton from her dad, and she would do a Solo 2. That ain't gonna happen, because that movie lost millions and millions of dollars at the box office, untold fortunes, so it's not gonna be that. So I don't even care which movie she does, but she can do it. Rob, you've had a chance to see all the 3 episodes that she's done. You had a chance to see The Return of the Mandalorian. Do you think she has shown us enough to justify Lucasfilm going, you got what it takes, here's a project for you to do? What do you think?
100%. You know, like, I mean, not only that, but she can consult with her father, you know, if you give her, and by the way, as far as Solo 2 goes, I mean, again, I go back to how do you make a Solo 2? You get Harrison Ford to come back, and you have Alden Ehrenreich, and you Godfather 2 that whole thing. And you show,
I love it. You Godfather to it.
You juxtapose the two different time periods, and you show why did Han Solo leave Leia? Why did he and Chewie take off? How did the Millennium Falcon disappear? And you deal with that interim period between the end of Return of the Jedi and the beginning of Force Awakens. You make that movie, and she should direct it.
Chris, you have a chance to watch these episodes, whatever. Look, is Bryce Dallas Howard, we still think of her as the actress, but has she shown you enough that you would be excited for her taking it on? And if so, what has she shown you that makes you think she can take on a movie?
She absolutely has shown me she can do this. That's why I paused so awkwardly reading the question, because I made a face after she's not experienced enough. I was like, forgot that this was an audio forum for a moment. I think she's incredible. The way that she just really, really, like you were saying, builds that tension, really grounds you emotionally in a scene. She is just doing really beautiful work that doesn't need a lot of the like bangs and whistles, you know? You don't need to have like really big explosions like you were saying. You don't need to have all these things for her to still create a wonderful story. The Heiress is such a good episode.
So good.
I mean, oh, it's so incredible. Right now, though, I just want to give Rob a bunch of money and be like, yeah, go make that movie, please. Like the whole time I was like, yeah.
I would hire Bryce Dallas Howard to direct.
I need you to produce this.
And I would oversee the script that Steve Zalian writes.
Oh, that's a good call too.
There you go. See, one day I'll get my due.
Disney, what you doing? Call Rob. Let's make stuff happen.
The other thing about the whole scenario here too, with Bryce Dallas Howard and all that kind of stuff as well, is that she brings an element to this that I don't think we've seen, like a sensibility we haven't seen from feature film Star Wars makers before, right? On that level. And here's the other thing too. I want to add this one other thing as to reason why she should do this. By bringing her back, Jon Favreau has pretty much given his stamp of approval on this too.
Yeah.
Like she has shown Jon Favreau, oh my God, you really know what you're doing here. And you're good at this. I'm going to bring you back for the next season. Or we're going to bring you back, not for the next season. We're going to bring you back for things. By the way, I don't know what the director list is for Mandalorian season 3.
No
I don't know
idea.
if they've made, but I'd be surprised if Bryce Dallas Howard's name isn't one of them. I don't think we're going to see Chow because she's busy on Obi-Wan, but I would like to see her in there as well. So there you go. Guys, that's our case. Now we make, Your Honor, we rest in our submission here that Bryce Dallas Howard should, in fact, be given a Star Wars movie to direct. She's shown she can do this. She's delivered with audience appreciation, with really good quality, and it's gotten everybody excited. Question is for you guys. What do you think about the notion of a Bryce Dallas Howard directing an actual Star Wars feature film project on her own. Do you like the idea? Do you still want to see more from her first? Maybe you haven't liked the episodes of stuff that she's delivered. That's possible. Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With that down, we're now going to move over and start taking your questions that you guys have been sending in the last couple of days. We got a little bit behind there, but we're going to start getting caught up now. But before we do, we're just going to take a very, very short break here, stretch our legs, refill our drinks, give you guys a chance to talk amongst yourselves for a second as we're going to throw it over to John on Earth 2, who's got this little topic to talk about. We'll be back in just about 2 minutes. Next up, some dude writes, why doesn't Amazon or Google open a physical movie theater with the ability to walk in, pay whatever it costs to rent a movie on their VOD service, and watch any movie available on their service on the big screen? Okay, interesting idea, some dude, but there's a big, big reason why. They would go out of business in 5 minutes. It costs a lot of money to, number one, have a big physical space like a movie theater. Like just having the space itself is untold tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, right? Right there by itself. Then heating, cooling, having the power on, having staff, having things. It is a very expensive endeavor to have a movie theater. Very expensive endeavor. If you and 4 friends wanted to walk into, say, an Amazon movie theater and pay $5.99, or whatever it costs to rent a movie on Amazon, and pick whatever movie you want so you can sit there and watch on the big screen, well, that's good for you, but Amazon is going to lose hundreds of dollars just in the time that it takes you to sit there and watch that movie. I mean, they need movie houses. Movie theaters needs movie houses filled with people. And yeah, that is just not economically viable. That will put them out of business really fast. And so you'd have to come up with a solution that would make it cost effective. And I can't think of one off the top of my head right now. I'm sure if we brainstormed, we could, but that's kind of the main reason for that, some dude. All right, next up. All right, guys, and we are back. Thank you again to Earth 2 John, stunningly handsome man. But now, guys, we're going to go on over and start taking the questions that you guys have sent in. We're going to start getting caught up here. So, Chris, what are we getting started with here?
We're starting with Jay Bling. I accept people can like simple movies, but for me personally, at this point in my life, after hearing the description for Red One, the notion of movies being built mainly on the premise of marketing buzzwords and not so much story makes my skin crawl now.
Okay, to be fair, of course, we're talking about Red One. We talked about this yesterday, I believe, with Chris Evans and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He says, it's a 4-quadrant action adventure, and blah, 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 blah. That's not the synopsis for the movie. Remember, this movie is just, they just got their cast. This isn't even started. It's just its development. That's not going to be the actual synopsis. We're still a ways away from that movie. There will be real synopsis. So this is not them trying to sell the movie. This is just them announcing the movie's being made. So don't worry about it, Jay Bling. Don't worry about it. So better stuff will come. All right, what's next?
The Sock, part 1 of 2 here. In Encanto, Luisa vents to Mirabel about all the responsibility she carries. If she were talking to any of the other members of the family, I'd overlook it. Because it's Mirabel who knows she's insecure about not having a gift, it feels like a CEO complaining about their job to a homeless person.
I didn't take it that way. And of course, we're talking about Encanto. To me, I actually thought that was a really special thing because it did 2 things. One, it showed the older sister opening up to her younger sister. I thought that was very special. But the other thing of that too was this. It was important for Mirabel to realize that, yeah, you've got your set of problems. And it's the grass is always greener mentality. Like, yeah, she's got this gift, but it comes with its own set of problems and stresses and responsibilities. So because of that, I thought it actually served 2 purposes and did it really well. All right, what's next?
Mando for the win. Hi, John. Got the new episode of Book of Boba Fett and loved it. In my opinion, it has been the best episode yet, and I'd argue it's the best well-rounded, but it leaves me thinking, how could the Book of Boba Fett's best episode not even have Boba? Thanks.
Irrelevant. I mean, like, here's the thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but a lot of people talking about that episode, they talk as if the whole cast, crew, and filmmakers making the Book of Boba Fett got up and went to the bathroom, and this entirely different set of storytellers, filmmakers, cast, and crew came walking in, and they made that. It's the same show. I know it doesn't feel like it because one character was there and one character doesn't, but you do know that this character is a work of fiction, right? Like he's not a real guy. Like not a real guy named Din came in and says, this is what we're going to do. No, it's the same shows, same people. It is Book of Boba Fett showing what they were capable of. They still wrote it. It was their director still directing it. In this case, it was Bryce Dallas Howard. It was still their crew shooting it. So it's there. I don't know, Rob, you've had a few days to marinate on that a bit. What would you say to that?
Well, no, I think it all comes down to story more than anything else. I mean, this story was a continuation of 2 years of The Mandalorian, and the story was something that, frankly, we're much more invested and interested in, because I think the problem with the Book of Boba Fett is it just hasn't lived up to what we all hoped it would be. And that's a different problem. Whereas Mandalorian, it did, and it was a great extension. It dealt with the Darksaber. You saw the Armorer come back. You saw Heavy Mando come back. Hell, you saw a Naboo starfighter, something I never thought I would care about, made cooler than it was ever made in The Phantom Menace. I mean, everything about this episode just was firing on all cylinders. And we've been watching episodes that weren't.
And I think the key to that is that they focused on the things that were important in making a good story. It had nothing to do with, it's the Mando character that's in there. Well, regardless if it was the Mando character or the Boba Fett character, if they had brought that same focus, if they had brought that same attention, if they had brought that same set of priorities to the other episodes as they did in this one, that all stuff would have been great. If they brought the same crap focus and set of priorities to this episode, it would turn out just as bad.
Well, I think also, I mean, let's face it. The Mandalorian is the Boba Fett show. That's what it was supposed to be.
In many, many, many ways.
And and so now we're watching a story about yet another Mandalorian who's not really a Mandalorian. I mean, you can't sit there and I know there's been a lot of Mandalorians in the Clone Wars and all that stuff, and we talked about, but ultimately the Mandalorian was supposed to be the Boba Fett show. And in our own minds, that's what it was. And then when they put Boba Fett in it, well, then you have two Mandos. And one isn't as good as the other.
All right, what's next?
Tomo. Well, John, I just finished the latest episode. Oh, no. Yep, that's the right one. Sorry. Finished the latest episode of The Mandalorian. I mean, Boba Fett. Okay, seriously, though. I loved it, but can't help feeling it's kind of sad that this show is only good when another character is in it. Better fights, better music, better story. Again,
it's inconsequential as to which character was in there. It's just that they like you said, Rob, it's story. It's how they approach telling it. And it just so happened they did it when that character was there. And so it's going to be interesting to see who goes. I know where you're about to say.
I know. I have to interrupt because this is one of my favorite.
I know. I can see your ears perking up already.
He-Man, baby. Just announced live action on Netflix. Thanks to Mark Newman and Mike in the chat. I don't know. It might be good or it might be bad since it's on Netflix. I was expecting a theater release. You know what I mean? But with the Witcher being as good as it is, I mean, it could be decent. I don't know.
Here's the thing. For those of you guys who want to talk about Masters of the Universe, this is on Deadline right now. It just dropped a few moments ago. Masters of the Universe, a live-action Mattel movie, heads to Netflix after being in development at Sony. Kyle Allen, I have no idea who Kyle Allen is off the top of my head, to play He-Man. Of course, the dude from 55 Kisses of a Girl I've Kissed Before, whatever the name of that.
Was he the guy that was announced before to play He-Man?
Yes, and he's going to be in Black Adam. What's his name? What's that dude's name? I don't know why I'm looking at you to answer that question. Yes, how do you always know this? Yes, Noah. Hawley or something like that.
And I hear the showrunner is going to be Kevin Smith. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Watch, people just went, wait,
Noah
what?
Centino.
Noah Centino. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I know you're not excited for it.
Ooh, original movie on Netflix. Well, this is going to be big quality. I'm telling you, right, this killed my enthusiasm's gone.
Oh, for it?
Yeah.
You had some.
You don't think they can invoke the power
just
of great
because it's
Phil,
on
John?
Netflix?
Come on.
Yeah, no, because 9.5 out of 10 original Netflix movies suck ass. Every once in a while they knock it out with, Old Guard, or there was just one recently that I watched that I really liked. Damn it, which one was that?
Are you saying this is going to be the death note of the He-Man franchise?
It's going to be the death note of the He-Man franchise.
Oh. Sorry, I shouldn't invoke these kinds of things.
I just want Battle Cat, a live action Battle Cat. Do that, the cat right, and I'm there.
Because you
6
had
out of 10 already.
You had Crazy Rich Asians director was going to be directing it for the longest time, and I was all excited about that. The guy directed In the Heights.
Yeah.
The guy
John
they're
Cho.
telling me was
What's
in
that?
West Side
Was it
Story.
John Cho?
John Cho. That's exciting to me.
They're telling me that the one they casted is from West Side Story.
Well, that's interesting.
You mean who's playing He-Man?
Yeah. Kyle Allen, whatever his name is.
I don't recognize that. I don't know which one he played, but okay. Well, we'll see. It's not the lead guy. It's not the second lead
Is the guy who played Riff? No.
I don't know.
No,
I just hope the chat isn't trolling me.
All right. Well, anyway, we'll probably talk more about this on Monday.
Balkan. Is Balkan in the new West Side Story? Balkan.
Which one was
Balkan?
I can't even remember which one that was. Anyway, we'll talk more about this on Monday, but that is the breaking news right now. Okay, let's go back over to. Can you reread that last one? Because I can't even remember what it was.
That they finished the last episode of The Mandalorian. I mean, Boba Fett.
All right. Better music. Yeah. Again, it's. I said this before. I'll say it again. You go back to the notion of. You could say almost the same thing about Mandalorian season 2. The two biggest highlight moments in Mandalorian season 2 weren't even Mandalorian's scenes. It was Boba Fett showing up. He stole it. And then it was Luke Skywalker showing up. He stole it. Now, yes, Mando was at least in the episodes, but let's face it, that Boba Fett episode was not Mando's episode. That was Boba Fett's episode.
I would say also Bill Burr stole that scene he was in.
That
too.
was a great episode.
Yeah.
I forgot. Does anybody remember who directed that episode? That was
No, but it was dope.
That was really.
Was that
great.
Robert Rodriguez? Did he direct that episode?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
I was not prepared for Bill Burr being that good.
He was that good.
was
That scene was so
Oh yeah,
good.
I didn't know he was capable of that.
Yeah.
That was like really something special. All right, what's next?
Isaac Beebe. Fun trivia fact. Did you know that John Cena was actually in quite a few of the Harry Potter movies? A lot of people don't know that. He played the role of the invisibility cloak.
Okay. At least that's a little bit of a different take on the joke. He was the invisibility cloak. All right, I will allow it, Isaac Beebe. I'll allow that one. Okay, what's next?
Paul H. In 1995, Deep Space Nine had an episode where Bashir, Dax, and Cisco get trapped in San Francisco 2024. Star Trek Picard is going to travel back to Los Angeles 2024. I guess the issue is that Star Trek is doing another time travel story. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, you know me.
Actually, it was 2 episodes. It was called Past Tense, Part 1 and 2.
Well, there you go.
What's great is this is what Rob was talking to me about my very first day back. Because I was like, I kind of like Picard. He was like, okay, Chris, let me talk to you about a few things.
Let me tell you why you shouldn't like what you like.
Hey, you know what?
It was really helpful and informative.
Maybe it'll be good. Hope springs eternal. You know, Terry Matalas, I really liked what he did with the 12 Monkeys TV series. He worked with Brandon Braga on Enterprise. Could be good. Hope springs eternal.
I will say this. You know me. I don't like the time travel trope at all. There are a couple of exceptions to that. Obviously, Back to the Future, Voyage Home. Or sorry, it was Voyage Home, right? Voyage Home, when they go back to get the whales. I love that movie. And in time travel, it did it well. But overall, I feel like you know me when I would say there is no problem you can create in a script that can't be solved with time travel.
Well,
And so I mean, generally speaking, but I kind of tire of it when Star Trek, even in all the older stuff, would go back and use time travel, even when it was using like stuff like although this is going back a ways, but what was the name of the episode where they're on the planet where they go through the various portals? You go to
City on the Edge of Forever when they go through
City on the Edge of Forever.
But
Thanks so much.
I would say what was really interesting about Past Tense as far as time travel goes, while there was a little bit of an element of timey-wimey stuff in it, they actually went back in time to examine the issue of homelessness and homelessness in San Francisco, coincidentally enough. So, and it was a way to comment. It was a way to comment on a modern day problem from an interesting science fiction context.
Quick question.
So,
is the person asking the question correct? Was it 2024 that they went back to?
I believe it was.
Do you think there's any relevance there that Picard is also going back to that same year, or do you think that will be disconnected?
No, I think that when they did it in the 90s, 2024 was still 25 years away. And now they need to they need to save some money because these Star Trek shows are so hideously expensive now, needlessly so, with their 25,000 producers, that they have to. Hey, if you go back to 2024, it's just today. We're going to show it today.
All right, let's keep going here. What's next?
Jonathan Thurmond. Finally, we see a badass bounty hunter in Boba Fett. It just wasn't Boba. You guys.
I'm telling you.
It's a chapter in a book. Calm
I know,
down.
but it does highlight, though. It does, to be fair, it does highlight that slow, clunky Boba Fett pajama Fett, as Ray would call him, in his white onesie. Garbage pail kid Fett.
Friendship Fett.
Better yet,
Friendship Fett.
but it's like it's like this episode was like, and we now return you to the Mandalorian, already in progress.
Yeah, a little bit like that.
Buddy Fett.
But you know what? I truly believe, and maybe I'm just being overly optimistic, I truly believe that once we get into episode 6 and moving forward, that we're going to find out that the way they did episode 5 with Mandalorian is going to become absolutely narratively essential for what we have going forward. Because I think, Ray, you pointed out the other day, like if they were just doing a regular episode of Boba Fett and then just all of a sudden out of nowhere, there's Mandalorian. I don't think that would have worked as well. That now we know where exactly he's coming from, what the emotional state he's in right now, what his current motivations are, and what his goals are. And now we see him hook back up with Boba Fett. I think we're going to find that pays off.
Go ahead, Ro.
Now that we have this happening, do you think that the next couple of episodes of Boba Fett, we're going to see Bo-Katan, we're going to see, because of the Darksaber, we're going to see Ahsoka Tano,
the Trade Federation.
We're going to see all these characters come back to kick ass to make Mos Espa safe from the Pikes?
Yes.
I want to see a flying cadre of Mandalorian armored muscle. You know, all of the characters, Magnificent Seven in the next 2 episodes, kick some major ass.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't even be surprised if the Armorer comes in.
Oh, yeah. All of them. Heavy Mando, everybody.
Yeah.
I want
Bring
to
it
see
all
more
in.
Heavy Mando, actually. But the whole episode was like the second longest episode, right? Of Book of Boba.
Yeah, it was
51
literally
minutes?
I think it was 1 minute short of being the longest episode they did, which is great.
I just find that it's funny that Mandalorian was in the second to the longest episode, and it was all him. That's the only thing. I meant, like I said, if Fennec didn't show up at the end, you could have shown me that episode. And I'll be like, "Oh, season 3's out." You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
they needed to have that scene.
Yeah, they needed
to have
that scene for sure.
I actually kind of thought Boba Fett should have been with her. I narratively understand why it was just her. She's his emissary. I get that, but it kind of would have been nice to have him there.
I mean, what if the end of this series ends with all of these characters, the Slave One, the Naboo Starfighter, we're all going to take back Mandalore. And that's how the Book of Boba Fett ends.
The thing with that,
Sign me up.
Come on, dude.
is you don't see Godfather or Kingpin going to go get the recruits, right? So
That's true.
That's the way I see it.
And Blacker Stanton goes with them.
Yeah, I want that.
I mean, the whole end of the day is like Boba Fett's. You know, if he says, "Yeah, okay, we've tamed Mos Espa, you take the palace, we're going to take back Mandalore," and that's the end of that show.
My father spoke of Mandalore. I will come with you.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, I mean,
whatever.
come on.
And I'll bring that Twi'lek from Flashdance. She'll
Everybody.
bring them all. Bring them all. All right, what's next?
Cosmin Nikolai. Hello from Romania, Eastern Europe. Disney has just confirmed the official launch of Disney Plus 42. Launch of Disney Plus. 42 countries and 11 new territories, which include South Africa, Eastern Central Europe, and the United Arab Emirates.
All right, big hand. So congratulations, South Africa, Eastern Central. Seriously, this has been a big topic of conversation when these exciting streaming services roll out, particularly when Disney Plus did, because Disney Plus launched with Mandalorian, a show that people all around the world wanted to watch, and they couldn't.
Yeah.
And Disney wouldn't give them the option of watching it on other streaming services, like at least CBS All Access did, with like whatever you think of Star Trek Discovery. They knew there were people around the world
You
who
want
wanted
me
to
to
watch
weigh
it.
in on that?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
But at least they gave people the option. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But now they've said they're going to roll out. It's going to happen with Warner Brothers. Seriously, with HBO. So congratulations to all those countries. I'm glad you guys are going to finally get it. All right, what's next?
Jelly Watts, who tipped $20. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, man.
Good morning, John and team. I just saw the teaser for Our Flag Means Death on HBO Max. Looks so good. This show looks hilarious. Have you seen the trailer yet?
I remember when they talked about this and Taika Waititi's and all that kind of stuff, and then the trailer came. I didn't like it.
Really?
I honestly didn't find it to be that funny. Now, maybe I have real high expectations when it comes to Taika Waititi, because this guy is awesome. But I'm not going to lie. The trailer really didn't do much for me. Did it work for you?
Oh, I love it. I've been in
Okay.
love with his stuff ever since we're not swearwolves. We're werewolves. Like, I love just that kind of humor, and I thought the show was definitely going to deliver on it. And now seeing everyone else in it, seeing, Leslie Jones in her outfit, oh, I'm so excited about everything.
Rob, did you have a chance to see it?
Oh, yeah. And isn't there a second trailer I want to say that there was
I haven't seen it. If there is.
I thought it looked great. You know, he's killing. He's also involved with Reservation Dogs.
Yes.
And
yes.
I mean, Taika Waititi is becoming a one-man comedy juggernaut. It's the guy's incredible. I thought, and he's not in the trailer very much. He's in that trailer just enough. I can't wait to look. Pirates, comedy pirates, bring it on.
That's why I love the concept, but it begs the question: where the hell is Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie that they told us about 2 years ago? Where's that? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want them to take one away from Bryce Dallas Howard.
If he made the first Star Wars comedy, what would you think of that?
If it's funny, it'll be great.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it.
I'd sign me
I
up.
kind of thought.
Look what he did with
Rise
this
of
episode.
Skywalker was a comedy.
Look at what he did with this episode's of Mandalorian. I mean, just with the two stormtroopers. With I think Jason Sudeikis even did one of the voices of them, right?
Yeah.
Just that was amazing. You give me a movie that I'm on board for sure.
I mean, I still want them to do Kevin Rubio's Tag and Bink comics as a movie.
Oh, Kevin's got to get his due for Tag and Bink. People want Tag and Bink.
They do.
All right, what's next?
Cinema reviews. You've mentioned how sometimes you see a movie that reminds you why you love film.
Yep.
Well, I just had one of those recently with Belle. It's an absolutely beautiful movie and has an amazing soundtrack. Ask Chris. She's seen it. See if you can, especially in IMAX.
Well, I'm asking. Chris, what about it?
Beautiful. I actually listen to the soundtrack a lot when I drive over here too, because it's good hype music. The like You song from it is so good. It's gorgeous.
I didn't know it was musical.
It is. It is.
Okay.
Well, ish, because she's like a pop star.
Yeah.
So the music's just kind of interwoven. But
So it's Japanese Gem and the
story.
holograms? Is that?
Kind of.
I have to tell you, if you sleep on a lot of anime soundtracks, I mean, there's some great. The Space
Beautiful
Battleship
music.
Yamato music, the Akira soundtrack, Tetsuo. There's some great stuff.
You know what has a ridiculous soundtrack? Like a ridiculous soundtrack.
Which
and
one?
yet I listened to it every time it came on. My Hero Academia.
Oh,
So good.
I was like, this music is so ridiculous, especially like you got the reading the lyrics, because I'm reading the lyrics, and this is ridiculous. So why am I still listening to it?
Oh, yeah.
I can't
If you-
turn it off.
If you want to have the best run of your life, you get just like anime theme songs on your Spotify list. Oh,
and
One
also,
Punch Man
hyped.
too.
Yeah, that
One Punch Man.
One Punch
Cowboy
Man song.
Bebop was the one where I was like,
Cowboy
oh my
Bebop.
God.
I mean, I have a
All the
4-disc
beat
soundtrack
notes?
of
Yeah.
Cowboy, and also stuff like Satoshi Kon sings like Paranoia Agent and Perfect Blue, and I mean, there's amazing stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what's next?
All right. This is from Murray Reich. Even in Lucas's film's own show, Book of Boba Fett, they had to break the fourth wall by winking to us, "What an entrance!" and "Mando's here." Well, it's like they were saying to us, "We know Boba Fett's show is a slow burn, so let's give you some things you like. You look something shiny. You like something shiny."
Oh, look, something shiny. You know what? I don't think you're far off on that, Murray. I think they strategically placed this thing. Look, they knew because of the popularity of the character. When we drop him in, that's going to be a big pop. And so where do we have that happen? Because they could have shown this preamble of The Mandalorian coming into Boba Fett's story at any point. I mean, hell, that could have been the first episode of the season if they wanted to, and then caught up with it again later on. I think you might be onto something about, might have been a little bit strategic about this to say, let's put it right here before we head into our final push of stuff that they say is their best episode. So
I just want to believe that Bob Chapek was like, wait a minute. Are you telling me that Boba Fett went to Mos Eisley and there's no Amy Sedaris? What kind of show are you making here? Put her back.
Of course, that assumes that Bob Chapek even knows what Mandalorian is or that they're making a show. I simply don't think he cares. All right, what's next?
Patrick Krauser, I don't know whether the theater should tell me if there's a post-credit scene or not. If I choose to leave the theater before the movie's runtime is up, that's on me. However, I usually look to see if there is one beforehand at aftercredits.com. Hashtag BOTF.
That's a good website. But here's the question I would pose to everybody, though. Because we talked about this on the show the other day about, you know, it used to be a time when post-credit scenes were just something funny and a little add-on thing. But more and more, they're putting stuff in the post-credit scenes that are actually narratively important. And sometimes even alter the way you see the movie that you just watched. And so we had a little bit of a discussion, and there was a bunch of viewers said, yes, they should let people know if there's a post-credit scene. A bunch of people said, no, they should. Here's my question for the people What harm is there? Like if they say like, look, I'm going into these movies, I know I am sitting there and I'm sitting through the credits regardless. So what harm does it do me if the studio tells the uninitiated guy behind me when he comes in and checks his ticket and they say, oh, just so you know, there are post-credit scenes in the movie if you'd like to stay for them. How does that hurt me?
Yeah.
It doesn't. All it does is it benefits the people who now know whether or not there's a post-credit scene and then can make a choice if they want to stay for them or not, rather than wasting their time for 15 minutes sitting there and finding out there is none, or getting up to leave because they thought the movie was over and then finding out they missed something important. It doesn't affect me if they tell them, so I don't know.
I mean, Rob and I stuck around to see if Moonfall had an ending.
Yeah, we did. I was convinced.
I was
You were out of there.
I was out of there.
I was convinced there might be. And I like the score.
Well,
The
and there was a
score's
little
nice.
fake
I'm
out
actually
too.
surprised that there wasn't.
There were like 2 fake outs
Yeah.
in the end credits.
Where we were like, ah!
Yeah, they would do these, and then it looked like they were going to cut to. They probably
A scene?
were. It looked like that.
But then
It
they just went
and
back
then
to
Then
it
they
went
did.
back to
And they were like,
credits.
yeah, credits.
See, you damn cock
I
teeth.
was like, yeah, I see what you're doing.
All right.
You
all
know
right.
what? We should just make up the fact, like when new movies are coming out, like on Fridays, we should just make up whatever the post-credit scene is on the movie that's going to come out next week.
You know, because
Just make
the
them up.
movies come out on Thursday. On Wednesdays, we should do the unseen post-credit
Yeah,
scene
yeah.
reveal, and we'll make up whatever we think the
Yeah.
post-credit scene is going
Or
to be.
make a game. What is the post-credit scene for your favorite movie? What would that post-credit scene have been if they had them back in the 70s?
I like that. All right, what's next?
Happy the Skrull Hogan, great name. Hey, John and crew, knowing you play D&D, do you have any hype for Legends of Vox Machina this Friday? With the new D&D movie around the corner, are we going to see a renaissance for the sword and sorcerer genre? I grew up on Dragon Slayer and Conan. Bring on the filthy.
I like these guys. I like Critical Role. I
Yeah.
do. I'm not going to lie. I haven't liked the promos for this. Yeah. Now, there have been a number of projects in the last year or two that I didn't like the trailers. I didn't like the promos. But man, did I ever enjoy watching the show or the movie afterwards. And I hope and trust that will be the case here, but I'd be lying if I said I was psyched for this right now. I'm not yet.
I mean, you know, when we were driving in to see Moonfall, there was a huge billboard, where right by like old Collider offices,
Yep.
where you see there was a huge billboard for this. But I couldn't help but think, if you like sword and sorcery, watch Dota: Dragon's Blood. Season 2 just dropped on Netflix.
That's the real message here. All right, what's next?
Will the Thrill. R.E. Dinklage. I think it speaks to trend of Disney doing representation for the sake of it, without regard to story. Hard to imagine how fairest of them all, i.e., well, white, goes to a Latina and we all talk about Ariel's casting, but not update dwarves.
Okay, I'm gonna say something here that a lot of people are not gonna like and gonna disagree with here. There's a fallacy in a lot of people's logic, and you know, I think this covers all of us, Will. So I'm not trying to center you out, Will. I think this applies to all of us. But when you say they made this casting decision, and you have made the decision that it was only based on representation, that's it. So you were in the room with the executives and the writers and the director, and you know that the only reason they chose this girl, who killed it in West Side Story,
Killed it.
that the only reason they got her was for representation. Well, I'm so glad you know that, because I didn't know that.
But she looks like Snow White. If you imagine her with her dark hair, she looks, I mean, she's got the face of Snow White. Like, I you know, it's funny because when I went and saw West Side Story, I had known that they cast her. I'm like, of course they cast her. You look at a picture of her in West Side Story, like, oh, she looks just like Snow
That
White.
girl sings.
I mean, it's to me, I'm like, okay.
But I want to call one more thing out here. When you said, hard to imagine how Ferris the Mall, well, white, goes Latina, or represented for the sake of it without regard to story. Who said this was without regard to story? And let me ask you this. If they had cast a white girl, how is that regarding story? So if they cast a white girl, they're totally regarding story. But if they don't cast a white girl, well, they're not worried about story at all. It's these assumptions based on no facts that kind of drive me a little bit nuts. Look, there is nothing in Snow White, and the name Snow White, and when they call her the fairest of them all, they are not talking about the complexion of her skin. They're saying she is the most beautiful in the land. That's why it pissed off the witch. Like, I am the fairest of them all, right? It had nothing to do with it. This girl is loaded with talent. the pitch of the tone of the skin of the character of Snow White is not relevant. There's nothing in where Dopey never goes up to her and says, "My goodness, the skin pigmentation on you is measures in a blah blah blah." It doesn't do that. They got her because she's awesome. She just killed it in West Side Story, and why not give it to her? This whole notion of they only did it because of representation. Well, that's bullshit because you have nothing to back that up with. And they did it without regards to story. Well, that's bullshit too because you have nothing to back that up with. And it's so, I don't know. It just kind of drives me nuts. And listen, man, I catch myself making assumptions too in a lot of these things. And I have to catch myself and going, well, wait a minute. What am I really basing that on? So I do it too, dude. I think all of us do it as well. But when I catch myself doing it, it just kind of irritates me. I don't know. Rob, you look like you're festering on something to say there.
I'm still thinking about, like, wouldn't it be cool if, like, this movie took place in South America, like in Peru? You just reset the entire story in a different country. I'd watch that.
Because, well, here's a question, actually. I honestly don't know if this is not a rhetorical question. I'm asking an honest question. Do they actually say in Snow White where this story takes place?
No.
I didn't think so. Like, I was asking honestly. I didn't know.
Historically, it's just a German folklore tale.
Yeah.
But it's a folklore tale. You know,
Right.
It's the same thing as The Little Mermaid. Like, well, mermaids are fake. So, like,
It has to take place in Denmark.
Yeah.
You know, or Hansgrid,
if
Copenhagen.
it's not in Denmark, I'm not watching it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. The thing about what's so strange, like, if you go to, like, if they retell a fable, like when King Lear, when they reset it in Japan and Kurosawa made Ron, does someone say, well, King Lear is not a Japanese king? Yeah, but they did it, and it does. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is the story good, and does it really matter? Like Snow White, just like we were talking about what dwarves are fictional creatures. Like, does Galadriel or any of the elves in Rivendell have to be a certain color? Because they're elves.
Exactly.
You know, Snow White she's a fairy princess. Couldn't she be anything? But if you look at who they cast, she looks like, think about her with short hair, with that Snow White hair. She looks like Snow White. Her face looks like Snow White. With you put the red lips on her, she looks the part, and she sings. It's going to be amazing.
Exactly.
You know, there's going to be some great duet or
there's gonna be
person thing
amazing
with the
music.
dwarves
and going back to Peter Dinklage's issue is, the thing is, he wants to make sure, and I'm inferring this. I haven't sat down and talked to Peter Dinklage, but
Not this week.
Like, not this week. Hopefully soon. Let's get coffee. Dwarfism shouldn't be a punchline in anything, right? That's the issue. And that's what some films have done in the past. So if we do take that Lord of the Rings approach or something like that, like we've talked about before, that's what needs to be updated or changed, not giving, characteristics like dopey or sleepy or things like that. That's the hope. But to say that this is just a representation move is very dismissive.
All right, let's move on here. What's next?
Next, we have something from Casey McNatt. Hey, gang, I just wanted to say you all make my day. I'm so glad I'm proud to be part of this community. To John, Rob, Aaron, Chris, Ray, and pretty much all the people in the chat who make my week just listening to your views and making me laugh.
Thanks so much for that, Casey. I appreciate that, man. We really appreciate you being here and being a part of it. You make doing this show worth it, dude. I appreciate it.
Oh,
All right.
another one from Casey McNatt.
Oh.
So thank you for supporting the channel further. One last thing that was mentioned in the episode. I wasn't able to get in. We don't talk about apocalypse. No. We don't talk about apocalypse.
Remember we were talking about the other day, it's like thing is, well, and he was also Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
No. We don't talk about Apocalypse.
Okay, whatever you want. He gave it his all.
He did.
His line
Yes.
delivery as Apocalypse was awesome. It was awesome. I loved him as Apocalypse.
Let me put it this way. I think he did just about as good as you could hope that somebody would do in that role, given the circumstances. That's the best, highest praise I think.
Some of his line readings were epic.
especially when you consider the lines he had to read.
We'll see with some good stuff.
All right,
I
what's
liked it.
next?
This is from Tomas. I saw that The Legend of Vox Machina is at 100% critics reviews on
Yes, it
Rotten
is.
Tomatoes. Not that many reviews in yet, but a good start. Does that change your level of enthusiasm for the show?
No, see, I need reviews to hit the 50 to 100 mark. Right now, there's 13. At least the last I checked on it, there was 13 reviews, and that's great. But Eternals was also in the 90% range for a little while, too, until a whole bunch more came in, and then it dropped. I think it dropped below 50. Not by a lot, but I think it dropped below 50. So Yeah, at 100% when there's less than 30. I mean, still, you'd rather see 100% with 13 reviews than 50% at 13. Well, you can't have 15% at 13. So less than 50%. But so that's good, but I need to see a broader sample size than just that. All right, what's next?
Well, hey, Mr. J. They tipped in.
Can you do the whole show in that voice?
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
That would be amazing.
The viewers
Starting
so quickly would be
now.
like, Chris, now. You missed some crucial things about Fortnite, possibly being the movie Dwayne is referring to. First, Fortnite actually does have a narrative, and Dwayne Johnson actually plays a very important character in Fortnite. He plays the Foundation, leader of a team known as the Seven, alongside Joel McHale's the Scientist. Dimension-hopping heroes who are desperately trying to stop the Imagined Order, who kidnap strong fighters from across the multiverse, wipe their memories, and force them to fight to the death in an infinite loop. His character was first introduced in a cinematic directed by the Russos. With the infighting amongst the Seven and the Foundation being badass, I can see the story being expanded on the big screen.
The biggest argument to be made for that this video game that he's talking about is Fortnite is the fact that he has appeared in Fortnite. And look, everything you just said, hey, well, Mr. J, what's his name? Well, hey, Mr. J, everything you just said is true. But with all the people I know who play Fortnite, and I know a surprising number of people who play Fortnite, I've never once heard any of them talk about that. It's just get on the bus, jump out of the bus, go and shoot people.
And also the way Rock says, I guess I'm maybe looking too much into it, but when he says, I've been playing this game for years, like Fortnite still, and compared to Call of Duty, it's still a newer game. I'm thinking he's going back in the back. Like I thought he meant it as years and, like way further back than
when
Fortnite.
I was a child.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Fortnite. It's the big game right now. It has Steam going behind it. So
it's going to be interesting to see. Man, what if it's a World of Warcraft revival? Nah, it's not going to be that. All right, what's next?
Hayden Lee. Chris Evans is in Multiverse of Madness. The camera pans to Chris and the audience goes crazy because they think Cap is back. Dramatic pause. He says flame on. And he's Human Torch variant. I would probably lose it. Happy No Trousers Thursday.
Yeah, anything that put him in there, I would dig. And with the way the MCU is being done right now, anything is possible. But I really think they're going to be very, very, very protective of Cap. And he is, I think that's holy ground you're walking on there. And I honestly don't think that's one they'll cross. I mean, listen, anything is possible. If they had him shown up and say, I could do this all day, eating my delicious bag of Doritos, flame on, boom, and all that kind of stuff, they could. And it would be funny, but I just don't think they do it. What do you think?
I think, look, there's a lot of talk and a lot of rumors and speculation about all kinds of cameos. If they just throw in cameos for cameo's sake, they've learned the wrong lessons from No Way Home, and they're not stupid. The thing about No Way Home is not just the villains, but the three Spider-Men together added. It was the three of them that finalized Tom Holland's Spider-Man to transition to become the man he will later become. If they just have a bunch of cameos where we can all go, hey, look, the movie's not going to work. And I don't want to see a bunch of cameos for their own sake in this movie. I want to see it mean something.
I agree. All right, what's next?
This is another one from Jay Bling. Considering Toby didn't have anything else to promote before Spider-Man No Way Home, I can just imagine Andrew texting Toby saying that he couldn't handle the lying anymore, and Toby responding, I missed the part where that's my problem.
I mean, that's the thing. I remember when all that was going on, and we were discussing about, what are the possibilities Andrew's telling the truth? What are the possibilities that he's lying? A lot of people say, well, Toby's not denying it. Toby's not denying it. Well, because Toby's not on a promotional tour right now.
For multiple movies.
For multiple movies at once, trying to promote. And of course, that's right when he had Tick, Tick, Boom coming
and
out.
Eyes of Tammy Faye.
That's right. And Eyes
Andrew
of Tammy
Garfield
Faye.
should just get an Oscar nomination because of his wonderful fibbing.
And he said that in the interview.
Yep.
He said, I couldn't, it was at the worst time for me and everywhere I went. But then he talked about how he called it that. He called it fibbing as opposed to
lying.
lying.
It's a fib.
It's a fib.
I still think one of my favorite lines from that whole interview with Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. And say, Andrew, why did you do it? He goes, look, I was just waiting to see if Toby was going to do it, because where Toby goes, I follow.
I'm a lemming for Toby.
I'm a lemming for Toby. That's exactly. Yeah, that was such a good line. All right, what's next?
Oh, Canadian singing postie.
Oh,
Hey,
it's one of our
dude.
favorite guys.
Hello, sir.
Hey, John and Co. Wow, some gut-punching laughter over the last few shows. Ray's Trade Federation observation had me in stitches. Also, good Canadian kid Ryan Reynolds may get a street named in Ottawa for his good deeds. Ryan Reynolds Way, I believe.
This is funny because there was just, what city was it where, was it Nathan Fillion that somebody was trying to get? Yeah, it was Nathan Fillion. There was a city in Canada that was trying to get like a public, I can't remember if it was a public rec center named after Nathan Fillion, whatever. Now we're talking about, listen.
You couldn't step foot in there. You'd get pregnant immediately.
I'll take your word for it. But listen, Ryan Reynolds, he truly is a Canadian treasure. They just gave him the Governor General's award medal. They did this big whole thing about all the charity work and community work that he and his wife do up in Canada and all the causes they support that he doesn't even talk about.
Right.
I mean, he truly is, it's an overused term. He's a hero. He has done so much for so many communities in Canada that, yeah, in our capital city, and yes, to our American friends, Toronto is not the capital of Canada. Ottawa, or as the Americans call it, Ottawa, is the capital of Canada. I wouldn't be surprised at all they give him a street name. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And you know what? I'm not usually one to go, hey, let's name our significant places and things of our government off of movie stars. But he has done so much that he's one of the guys who deserves it, I think. All right. What's next?
The Cinema Sesh. Hey, John and crew. Today, I will be putting down my dog of 13 years.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, man.
Super sad in my lifetime. This is my first loss. But just wanted to say this show gave me a glimpse of light in this dark time. Bright part of my day every day. Have a great day. R.I.P. Rosie.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear that,
I'm so sorry about
and listen,
Rosie.
as a guy who I grew my whole life, I had dogs. My dad was even the vice president of the Canadian Kennel Club.
Wow.
For a while as a hobby. I mean, Dad's an engineer by trade, but he did that. And we always grew up with dogs. And I still remember when my dad got the Campea Ranch, he got these two labs, Lady and Blackie. And one lady was the blonde dog, Blackie was the dark-haired dog, and they were one. Blackie was huge. And he took to Anne. Whenever Anne and I went back home to visit, like, Blackie immediately just attached to Anne and just was never far from her and all this kind of stuff. And I remember when we loved those dogs. And I remember when my dad told us that Blackie had died. They had been out for the night and they went out to the farm and Lady was laying beside Blackie in the barn and wouldn't leave. And they're like totally obedient dogs. And my dad was coming, come on, Lady, and Lady would not leave Blackie's side. Broke my dad's heart. And now we have like a little lake, a pond thing at about a half mile back on the property. And Lady and Blackie would, when you get on the four-wheeler and drive back there, they got so excited. They would run behind the 4-liter. And then we get down to the little pond. They would run into the water. So what my dad did was he took the backhoe, drove it all the way down there, and he buried Blackie right beside the pond where he loved to be. And it's like,
That's
where was that
beautiful.
softy son of a bitch when I was growing up? Stern dad all of a sudden all soft. But yeah, like it just, and it broke my heart. And then Lady passed away and then they got two more labs. But yeah, I've been through a lot of cycles of that, and they become parts of the family. And
Yeah.
it's we are so sorry to hear that.
There's
Cinema
this
Sesh.
real beautiful little saying that kind of has popped around the internet too, of just like dogs just live shorter lives than humans because they love so intensely
Yeah.
that they don't have to have as much time to figure it out as we do. And then the other really beautiful one that like gets me every time is that dogs think that we're elves, like Lord of the Rings style
that
elves.
we are mortal
and
creatures.
that we're immortal creatures, and that's why they're so fascinated by us. So I'm so sorry
Ray,
about Rosie.
You gotta understand, Ray loves our dogs, man. Ray loves our dogs.
Oh man, I don't think I could tell this story. No, I can't. It's
Okay.
already coming out. So
I know what you're thinking. You're
Yeah.
thinking about
Scooby. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Scoob.
So no.
nope. Okay, it's going to become weepy time.
Yeah.
Shift
Nope.
gears. We'll
Weepy
shift
time
gears.
around here. All right,
All
what's
right.
next?
Tom G. The difference between a Mando episode and Boba Show versus the other way around is that Mando season 2 was already awesome before Boba showed up. Having episode 5 be all about Din only highlights for me how much of a disappointment this Boba Show has been so far.
I mean, I think the same would be true of anything. Honestly, I think having an episode be awesome in episode 5 when we've kind of been disappointed all the way through would probably still, even if it was all Boba Fett, would probably still have us going, well, where the hell was all of that in the first 4 episodes? Like that awesomeness, where was that? Where's that been? I mean, episode 2 and 4 I still liked, but not on that level. And like when you crack that out later, it's like, why haven't you been operating at this level this whole time? Yeah, so I get it. All right, what's next?
Jacob Nagel. The Knowing Home credits with the portraits remind me of Return of the King. It makes me think that we won't see these characters again, besides Spider-Man, of course. Thoughts?
Well, when you hear them, it is funny because when you hear them talk about this, I can't remember which one of them said it, but they said this movie kind of acts as the conclusion of these other franchises, right? And I believe him when he said that. That's why when people ask, do I think they're going to do Amazing Spider-Man 3 now that Andrew Garfield is the greatest Spider-Man we've ever had? I love all of them. I love them all. But I say no. I would love it, but no, I don't think. And then Rob says,
I think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is going to fight Venom in Venom 3.
I would love that.
I want it so bad.
I want that so bad.
Oh,
That would be so good.
Oh, the ghost of Spider-Man just knocked Rob's phone
that was an
down.
omen.
That was a sign.
Oh,
Don't worry, Chris. It's not another earthquake. We're okay. You're okay.
I'm so
All right.
excited.
What's next?
All right.
The earthquake thing.
Shane Ackers, 1 of 4. Okay, thanks, Shane. Seeing Ray's reaction to this live on air would be hilarious. Hello, everyone. Huge fan of the show here. One thing I enjoy doing purely out of my own amusement is sending friend requests to celebrities on social media. I don't know why I get such a kick out of it. I know they'll never accept it. Why should they? Regardless, it still gives me a chuckle. I decided to randomly add someone that is a co-host on the show, and lo and behold, he actually accepted it. I can now say I am Facebook friends with the man, the myth, the legend, Moonfall's very own, Mr. Ray Chef Pleasures Aura.
Oh, yeah.
It
You know who I'm friends with on Xbox?
Who?
Draymond Green.
Oh, I knew that. That's right. He's actually friends with Draymond Green on Xbox.
Because you know what?
He doesn't have a lot of them.
I didn't think it would work, but we played a game. He kicked my ass. It's NBA, the NBA game. He kicked my ass, really, our first game. And then I just said, I'm not the big Golden State Warriors fan, but I was so caught up that it was Draymond Green that I said, hey, man, big fan. And then, good luck this season, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I see what he's doing online, like on my feed. I'm like, oh, he actually added me. But the next game, I will say it, and if he ever watches, I did whoop your ass that next game.
You know Draymond watching this
I
show.
did
How
whoop
do you know
your
it's
ass.
really Draymond Green?
Because they have an icon over the head.
They have,
and
like, their
a special
version of the
icon,
check
and
mark.
it looks exactly like them. Their avatar is them.
All
So
right.
I just assumed it was him.
I
hope
don't want
it's
to
him.
burst your bubble. I'm just asking.
But I whooped his ass that second game. But then the next game, we kind of evened out.
the question wasn't finished. Keep going.
Yeah.
About the glory of Chef Pleasures.
So
It
sorry.
definitely took me by surprise, and I had to ask myself, whoa, really? I suppose it was a big surprise. Hold on to Ray. He's a living national treasure. Give him all the hot dogs on a stick he could want.
Or there's still another part.
Or at least he should be. LOL. All kidding aside, I love the show and have been an avid viewer for 5 years now. Keep up the great work, and I wish the best for all of you.
Oh,
You know,
that's
it's
sweet. Thank you.
so funny because I can't remember what it was you were doing. But by the way, Noah AG sends in a super chat badge in the live chat there. Thank you, Noah AG. Appreciate that, man. Can't remember what it was you were doing, but you and Ann and I think Kaori, you guys went down to Staples Center. Was that for a WWE event?
Yeah, it was for SmackDown, and I didn't ask the guy his name. Like you.
So, but what happened was, I don't know if you heard this yet. So, Ann, it was shortly after Ray started appearing on the show, right? So, Ann, Corey, and Ray go down to a SmackDown at what was called the Staples Center, now the cryptocurrency, whatever.
Crypto.
And Ann calls me. I couldn't go that night. I had stuff I was working on. So, Ann calls me. She goes, Ray had his first fan encounter. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, we were walking through the halls of the Staples Center. Somebody yelled out, Ray, and came running up, I love you on the show and stuff like that. It's like, there it goes.
You know what? I would like to call him more like just a friend. Like it feels weird for me to say fan. So I met a friend.
The term is groupie.
Yeah,
Ray.
but
Ray has groupies.
But he walks up to me, he says, I like the way you are on the show. And like, that's it. And then I was like, thank you, because that's who I am. Like you could
Did you give him a hug?
you could just appreciate. No, just handshake, because it's COVID, man. COVID's gonna.
That's true.
All right.
But
I make people buy me drinks.
you know, it's you appreciate, because like I said, I still right now don't know what I'm doing on this show, but I'm here, and I
killing it.
you know, so like I appreciate that. Just one comment, it meant the world to me.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Listen, by the way, I also want to say BGII Studios sends in a super chat badge, or sorry, BGIL sends in a super chat badge in the live chat there. Thank you for that, B. Gill. Appreciate that. All right, we got time for one last question today. What's our last question today?
All right, this is from Chuck the Mystery, and it's a 1 of 2. Hi, John. Welcome back, Chris. Oh, thanks, bud. Well, I agree that the new poster for the Batman isn't great. One interesting thing to point out is that it features both Batman and Bruce Wayne on before.
true.
This shows us that the character development for Bruce will potentially be bigger than it has ever been before. That is always interesting to me. No attempt by Bruce to pretend to be scared at that funeral either. What a character study.
You know, it could be something, but it might be nothing, because we have seen other superhero movie posters where we see in one spot on the poster the superhero in their garb, and then another part of the poster out of the garb. Like this, that isn't unique. But you might be right that we haven't had that in a Batman poster before, particularly the Christopher Nolan ones.
No,
the Christopher
we
Nolan was
haven't.
usually just Batman.
Yeah, we
in it.
haven't.
And yeah, so we haven't had that. So, but other films have. Could that mean something like about, I'm always talking about the dichotomy in Bruce Wayne, that the Batman is the individual, Bruce Wayne is the mask.
Yes.
Is this Matt Reeves telling us that they have an understanding of that? Or is it something, or is it just a design choice? I don't know. But Rob, you saw that. Do you think might be any significance to that?
Well, I mean, I think that, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that there's always the dichotomy of Bruce and Batman. And you brought up, you've said so many times that Bruce Wayne is the mask.
Yeah.
And that Batman is the guy. And I think that this movie is going to deal with that directly. That idea is going to be a big part of this film.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm with this guy too. Like anytime you've seen Bruce Wayne in a poster, it's just Bruce Wayne and the bat signal. That's it. That's
Right, yeah.
There's no Batman there. Maybe we'll get a poster where Batman and then the suit behind him, like they had in that shot in Justice League where Ben Affleck is looking at the Batman suit.
Right.
But never both, like with him in the suit and Bruce Wayne.
I mean, if this is dealing with the origin of Batman 2, when Bruce Wayne finally decides, like, people are in the trailer, it's like, well, what are you going to do? Or what's going on? Or this, that, and the other thing. And that we see, not like it's a different origin story than we've seen before somehow. I don't know. But at 3 hours, I can't imagine they're
A lot
not
of
going to
Bruce.
touch on a different
lot
kind
of
of an
Bruce.
origin.
I really hope that it covers what I'm always curious about with Batman is how did his parents die?
Well, I think
know.
They never
covered
talked
that.
about it.
Man.
They never
I always
go
assumed
on
they
it.
just went to the store and
They-
never came back. I mean,
Thomas went out for a pack of cigarettes and he never came
never
back.
came back, or just I don't know. Or actually, they just dropped him off somewhere and took off, and his defense mechanism was just to remember them being shot in an alley. That's what happened. Anyway, guys, listen, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Listen, there are still some more questions to come from. And more from Chuck the Mystery, Gregory Barrett, Jed Elias, and others. Do not worry, guys. We're going to do a companion video this weekend, and we will get caught up. And then don't forget, starting next week, the John Campea Show will only, when we're live, we're just going to take super chats for that. And then, but you guys can still send in tip questions if you want, and they will be dedicated to their own videos on John Campea mailbag episodes. So and it's not just going to be me answering them. You're going to get Rob answering them. I think we're going to get Chris to answer some of them sometimes. Probably get Chef Pleasures in there to do a little bit of it too. But anyway, that's going to be coming next week. And guys, thank you so much for spending the final day of this week before heading into the glorious weekend with us. We are completely cognizant of the fact of what a privilege it is that you guys would choose to spend time with us. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the John Campea Show, thank you guys very, very much for your support. Want to thank the man sitting over there, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people follow you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Burnett RM. Find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett or RMB. I don't even remember anymore. And find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work.
And when can we find you on Netflix?
Anytime. You can go to Dragon's Blood Seasons 1 and 2, which I was the animatic editor of. So go
And your
check
name
that
in
out.
the credits.
My name's in the credits.
Big start ladder.
And sitting right beside him, the man with all the groupies, Ray Ora, with the
you can
Bengals hat rocking.
You could find me on Campea Max Premium Plus. Matt Ray Aura with a 0.
And just so you know, Ray's going to be over here tomorrow, because not only we're watching that game, but the Halo trailer then drops.
Oh no, it's Sunday now, John. So it's gonna be
Sunday
Sunday.
now.
So I got
Oh.
all day tomorrow to prepare for my doom.
Get yourself all ready for it. And sitting beside him, of course, is Chris Carr. Chris, where can people follow you?
You can follow me at actor Chris Carr on Twitter and on Instagram, or my website, chris-carr.com, and tweet me about the Royal Rumble. I'm so excited.
Follow her for all of the coverage of Royal
All
Rumble.
wrestling coverage.
All right, guys, that'll do it for us for now. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.